Bim, guess what? It's Sunday, it's just gone 8 o'clock. That could only mean one thing, it's time for What a Week That Was. And it's not been a good week, I'll be honest with you. The news is quite upsetting, but not to worry, we've got some stuff to make us smile later on when we get to the funny section. We've also got news from America, India and Australia, but first we're just going to cover the normal news, which is basically the day by day, week by week news of what's been going on around the world. So let me start off with Sunday because, well, that's the first day of the week, the way it works at the moment. What with the way it works at the moment. So we'll do that. So on Sunday, the Nurses Union said that they were miles apart with the government and the NHS bosses on talking about wages and getting things sorted to stop all the strikes. And they also said that there was going to be some strikes this coming week. This was on Sunday, so the week that's just gone, which would include paramedics and nurses going out on the same day for the first time, which is not ideal, I'll be honest with you. But anyway, we'll wait and see how that panned out. Also as well, the missing young lady, there she is, Miss Bully. She went for a walk with a dog after dropping the kids off at school and then mysteriously vanished. The dog was found, her phone was found on a bench, but she's not been found. Now the police say that they think she's fell into the river which she was walking along the side of, but the family's saying they don't think that would have happened because they would have heard something or they would have found something by now, but they've never found anything at all. Hi Deno, hope you're good. But yeah, it's a tragedy that's currently unfolding for the family. 2 young girls missing the mum like crazy. So the family released these CCTV footage stills from when she actually went out that day, before she disappeared. Meanwhile, in America, they are looking for the wreckage of the balloon that they shot down late last night, although to me that looks like a dog's head, which I think is rather pretty. Look, a dog's head. It's its nose, where are we? There we go. Nose, its eyes and its ear. It's a dog's head. Aww, that's lovely. But yeah, it's all kicking off in America, and China are falling out massively over this. China says it's an overreaction, shooting it down, and they reserve the right to make further responses, whatever that means. Hi Snip, welcome back again, hope you're good. We'll have to wait and see again what happens from that, but it's not looking good at the moment. Hi Angela. She's my mum's just my mum at the moment. The clouds look like a sheep too. They do actually, with the back end of the sheep towards us and the head away, kind of going up at an angle. But yeah. There was some good news. We do like some good news. We have a men's 4-man bob sledging thing, apparently, a team, and they won a medal for the first time in like 40 years or something daft like that. So that was good news, and we like good news, and that's basically how Sunday ended, with some good news of medal winners, and we're like, yay, medal winners! They've won medals. They are so good. We like them a lot. So we moved on to Monday, and Monday, well, Monday is over the page. Cool Runnings, yeah, very similar to Cool Runnings. This is where it starts to go horrendously horrible now, unfortunately, but we have to report what's happened. There's not a lot we can do about it. Oh, I pressed the wrong thing then. Oh dear, I've done right and then I've done wrong. So we've got Snip, Deno and Angela. I've said hello to you lot already. You join in the chat, I'll say hello to you, and that'll be nice. Earthquake, or rather 2 earthquakes on the Syria-Turkey border. Tremendously awful stuff coming out of Turkey, and even worse coming out of Syria, due to the lack of resources that they have in Syria. Mind you, Turkey haven't done that well either. It's a lot of international aid has gone over, including a lot of people from the United Kingdom, America, or other countries in Europe. I think the Australians have sent a team over as well. It's a worldwide help to try and get people out of the buildings. It was one of the strongest earthquakes in the region for a considerable length of time, and initially there was thought to be 3,500 people who perished. It happened in the middle of the night, at 4 o'clock in the morning, when the majority of people in both countries were tucked up in bed, and the buildings just collapsed like decks of cards. It's horrendous. Talking of horrendous, former Met police officer David Carrick awaits sentencing for his heinous crimes, including coercion, rape, and various other horrible things that he did to a lot of women for a long period of time. And yeah, we'll find out what happens when we get to Tuesday. Then we had nurses and ambulance workers striking on the same day. To be fair, it turned out that it didn't cause as much disruption as people feared. And there's some interesting news about the ambulance service later in the week. There was a mystery unfolding at Eton College. Is it Eton College? No, Epsom College, where an entire family was found dead in the house. A mother, a father, and a young daughter. The mother was the fairly new headmistress of this very posh private school, and yeah, it was a bit of a mystery of what had happened. Police blocked it off, but very soon afterwards they said they weren't looking for anyone else in relation to the crime, but we will find out more in a bit. Talking of alleged crimes, Manchester City were charged by the Premier League for accuracy of financial information, or rather lack of accuracy for financial information. There's at least 50 alleged numbers of breaches to the Premier League rules. Now, how the hell they managed to do this for so long, if it's true, without being noticed, is beyond me, because let's be honest, there's only 20 clubs in the Premier League. Even if you did one a year, you'd have found out before now that something may not be right, and maybe just look in depth at the top half of it and just see that they're playing by the rules. Anyway, Pep Guardiola, the manager, has since defended the club, saying that he doesn't think that anything's wrong, and he think it'll all be disproved. So we can hopefully find out what happens sooner rather than later, because you don't want that hanging over your head. They could be deducted points, they could be kicked out of the Premier League, they could be kicked out of the Football League if it's as bad as what some people are saying it is. But most people don't really have an opinion on it, because it's all stupid money anyway, isn't it? The amount of money that goes on in these places. And then we get brought up to Tuesday. Bear in mind, I'm doing this having not slept for over 24 hours. So if my concentration's somewhat lacking, there's a reason for that. Oh, hi Carly. You come with sweets. Oh, nice. Angela, horrible man, yes. The ex-police officer is a very horrible man. Hi Kim as well. Snucked in. You've snucked in. She's fine. It's all good. Yeah, now this is something that's just going to, sadly, I think, go on and on and on for at least a couple of weeks, if not longer, due to the size of it and everything. But by Tuesday, there were 7,000 people confirmed dead, and that's what I mean when I say these buildings have collapsed like a pack of cards. Now, the thing is, okay, Turkey is not a rich country. Syria obviously is not a rich country, and it's got basically a civil war going on, which has been going on for 12 years. So in Syria you can expect the buildings to be substandard. But Turkey isn't a poor country, it's just not a very rich country. there must be reasons why these buildings have collapsed the way they have, and so many of them have. I mean, we're talking thousands of buildings, and there's rumours that although they knew they're expecting a major earthquake in Turkey, and they had these building guidelines for new buildings, it does seem to be an even split of the buildings that have collapsed, from new builds, i.e., less than 10 years old, to older buildings as well. And people are now saying that did the builders skip the safety regulations that they should have put into these buildings? So I think that could go on and on and on as well. But yeah, tragedy. 7,000 confirmed dead by Tuesday. There was even the dead baby who was still attached to... No, the baby who was alive, who was still attached to the mother's umbilical cord, who was dead. Just absolutely awful, awful. And the entire family had been wiped out, all the immediate family of that baby. So you're brought into the world and you've literally lost everyone straight away. We can't imagine stuff like that over here. It just beggars belief. It's just horrendous, and thoughts and prayers and everything. David Carrick is going to serve at least 32 years in prison for his heinous crimes. This was him being arrested in 2021, and he's got 36 life sentences. Now in my head, 36, if you've got more than one life sentence, then you're in prison for life. That's it. End of. If you've got 36, why are they saying he can come out in 32 years, which, if he's good behaviour, could be 16 years, but he's an ex-copper going into prison. He's not going to be popular. Plus, prisoners don't like people who abuse people, whether it's kids or whether it's women or whether it's women who abuse their partners who are men. It's just not a done thing. So I think he's going to have a rough time in prison. And it'll be interesting to hear in the news anything that may happen to him in the next few weeks, months or years. Rishi Sunak, he's had a busy week. He basically come up with these new things. What are they called? New departments in a minor reshuffle. And again, it's one of them where we're going to have to wait and see how it pans out. But he's got things like looking after technology and all that kind of stuff. And the Labour Party is saying that this is going to cost, setting up these new departments is going to cost millions and millions of pounds, which would be wasted rather than spending it on the people who need it, i.e., maybe giving the nurses a couple of extra percent in the wages or whatever, and it's a waste of money and all that. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute, Labour. You keep saying that if you're getting in, you're going to scrap the House of Lords, you're going to reform and do something different with that, then you're going to do this and do that and do the other, which is a lot more up in the air than what the Conservatives have done by creating 3 departments. And that's going to cost millions. And where's that money coming from? Which has always been my argument. The thing with the Labour Party is they keep saying, we're going to do, GB Energy, we're going to do all this fabulous stuff and it'll be amazing and you'll love it, but it costs money and they haven't got the money, which is the reason why we're in the crap we're in at the moment, because there's just no money hanging around at the moment. So yeah, that was Tuesday. Then we had Weeds Day. That was a special tribute there for you. Snip, if you're still here. Special tribute. Labour MPs go down to minimum wage and then I'll listen. Yeah, well, to be fair, they probably could do, a lot of them, because, I mean, none of them are necessarily poor these days, are they? Anyway, Thursday. So it's 3 days now after the earthquakes. Not one earthquake, 2 earthquakes plus many aftershocks. And the death toll now has been confirmed at 12,000. And then we find out that people in Turkey, we pay national insurance. If you earn a certain amount of money, you pay national insurance, and that helps pay for the hospitals and all that kind of stuff. Well, in Turkey they pay an earthquake tax, and the idea is if there is an earthquake, that money has been put somewhere by the government, and then they roll out, you know, all this equipment and everything, and rescue teams and all that kind of stuff, and basically, you know, try and rescue people as quickly as possible. Well, it didn't happen. Admitted, this was a massive earthquake, and it was over a massive area, but there was very little, if any, response from the Turkish government, and that is worrying if people have been paying this tax for so long. It's quite scary indeed. And people have been demanding to know where this money's gone and where the help was, because a lot of them had to do it themselves. A lot of these diggers, you see, were actually in the town doing building work, and they've been commandeered to obviously go and rescue people where possible. There was an 8-year-old boy who got rescued on Wednesday, which was good news, and well, quite a few people got rescued, but yeah, it's very, very cold at night. There's obviously no heating, no lighting. The people who survived, the people who are living on the streets, have got no shelter, no nothing. I mean, again, you just couldn't imagine it. President Zelensky, he probably could imagine it, due to the fact that obviously his country is currently being bombarded by Russia, and he's been to many towns where the buildings are not dissimilar from a major earthquake. So yeah, he can probably appreciate where Turkey and Syria are at the moment, but not a lot he can do about it. But he did come over to the UK in a surprise visit. Here he is, met awkwardly. I mean, that's an awkward hug, isn't it? By Rishi at the airport. I don't know. It looks like one of them's trying to go in for a kiss or something. It's just very peculiar. Anyway, he went to St George's Hall at the Palace of Westminster, and in person delivered a speech to the House of Lords and the House of Commons. The majority of members came to cheer him, applaud him, give him a standing ovation, because well, there were no seats, they had to stand up. And yeah, he's really good at giving speeches, I'll be honest with you. He's the kind of leader you think every country should have one of these, because he's just brilliant. Not very tall, but what can you do? He's asked for fighter jets. Now, I mentioned this last week, he was asking for fighter jets, and I think that's a step too far. We shouldn't be putting fighter jets in Ukraine. I think he should be defending rather than attacking. So defending is anti-air missiles to shoot down the drones, the Russian jets, that kind of thing. That is defence. If you get jets there, in my opinion, that is attacking. Tanks, I think, are defence. You need tanks to fight tanks, but you don't need aeroplanes to fight aeroplanes. So just send them more and more ground-to-air missiles, and I think that would work. He actually brought a helmet as well, and someone joked on, I think it was last night, that he was revealing that he was the Stig, which was moderately amusing. He then went to meet King Charles in Buckingham Palace. I always thought King Charles was quite tall, but having seen Zelensky next to Rishi, you know that Rishi's not tall, so Zelensky's not tall, and Prince Charles therefore is not as tall as we thought he was. Never seen him, so I wouldn't know. King Charles, get it right, boy. Now, he said that the king was overheard saying that, you know, he supported them and everything, but again, it's not up to him what we send and what we don't send. Then they went to an army training base where Rishi got all dolled up like a soldier, but a posh soldier, obviously. And Zelensky came along with his group of guys and basically met with some Ukrainians who were being trained in the UK professionally, and that to go back and then fight against the Russians. Rishi was interviewed and said fighters are part of talks and anything is on the table. So it could be interesting how it develops in that respect, but I don't think it's a way forward. After visiting London and the army base, Zelensky went over to France and met the German Chancellor, who I think is the balding guy, and Macron, the French president as well, who's the guy to his right, or left, depending which way you're looking at it, the smaller guy. And are all leaders small? Is that what it is? Because, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter. And again, he was asking for weapons, and particularly jets. Has he changed outfits, or does he just have the one? Before the war, he was clean shaven, and he always wore suits and things when he was president. But since the war, King Charles, 1.8 centimetres, 5.10 inches. He's a small lad, yeah. But he wears the army fatigues now, so you'll see him in different t-shirts. I think he's changed, because he's in like a jumpsuit. He's in a long sleeve shirt when he's with the king, and when he's being awkward, like a jumper, and then he's in a t-shirt when he's in France, because it's a bit warmer in France, isn't it? Weebles wobble, but they won't fall down. Indubitably. This weird thing going on with Nicola Booley. The police are saying, and they're adamant, that she's fallen into the water, but they've had this private water scanning team who've been in and say there's nothing there. There's not even an item of clothing. There's not a shoe. There's not a handbag. There's just nothing in the river at all. Now, it was over 2 weeks ago, and if you remember, over 2 weeks ago it was raining quite a lot, and I think I even did a video looking at our river, the Duggy, which is literally very similar to that. It's tiny, not a big river at all, but it was flowing really fast. So if she had fallen in, there is a possibility that she's been washed out to sea. And the police are saying, well, we don't think she's been washed out to sea. This is on Wednesday, but we definitely think that she's gone into the river. But there is a way out of the river area which didn't have CCTV. So they're keeping an open mind, but they keep saying she's gone into the sea. The partner has a black eye. Yeah, is it just me who, whenever anything like this happens, you always look at the family, and particularly the partners, with a suspicious mind, and you're like psychoanalyzing everything, and you're like, does he look really upset? And when he talks to but not just this guy. I mean, anyone where there's like a missing child, you look at the parents, or we've seen recent in the last 10 years a number of children who've just disappeared, reappeared again, or been murdered, and it's family members who are involved with it. I'm not saying that's happened. It is just a very strange thing. A dog was found, not on the lead. The phone was left on a bench, and it said she was in a conference call, but this week it's been said that when she was in the conference call, she didn't turn the camera on, and she didn't turn the microphone on either. She just kind of listened to it. It was going on, and she was listening to it rather than anything else. It just seems a very, very odd thing. Probably gone to Panama. Well, we live in hope. I hope she's alright, I honestly do. I hope it is just a case of, she's needed to get away and do something, but it is very weird. And the partner's 100% sure she's not in the water. Yeah, and you're like, why? What do you know? Yeah. I think it's just, I'm just turning, as I get older, I spent Wednesday wrong. Why don't you tell me I spent Wednesday wrong? The irony is, there's a Mickey take going on later on where another word's spelt wrong. And that word's library, for a library. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're finished with Wednesday now. Thursday. What happened on Thursday? Yeah, I watch a lot of Death in Paradise because I like Ralph Little. I liked him when he was in The Royal Family, and I liked him when he was in 2 Pints of Lager and a Packet of Crisps and all that. And I'm like, he's done well for himself, hasn't he? You know, he lived with a family who were basically a bunch of dossers, and then he kind of went through this rebellious teenage early 20s thing, rampant rumpy pumpy, and drinking, and mates and boozy and all that kind of stuff. And now he's a detective in the Bahamas. The lad's done good for himself. Yeah, but he has. You've got to think about it. It is a peculiar one. I just hope. Well, I hope they find her either way, and I just hope that if she has succumbed, that it was an accident, no one else was involved. But yeah, it just gets your mind going. It's still on occasionally on BBC Three, and I watch it, and yeah, it's still funny. They won't be able to make it now. Thursday, earthquake death toll is now over 20,000. Now, I'm pretty sure by the time this is over, because they're only counting people that they can find, and the only people they can really find are people in cities. All the villages, all the little homes that have been up for 300 years and people are in, I mean, there could be whole families wiped out. I'm reckoning you could put a 1 in front of the 2, 120,000, or maybe even a 2 in front of the 2. It just doesn't bear thinking about. And you ask yourself this question: why have these buildings fallen down like this? I mean, I'm watching the demolition of the galleries at the moment, which is a similar reinforced concrete structure, and it's taken a lot of effort to rip it down. They've got these like dinosaurs with the claws that just kind of crush everything, and it's been very resistant, and they're pulling the wires, and they're doing this, that and the other, and the structure is not moving at all. I'm not saying it could survive an earthquake, but I think it's probably better built than these apartments have been. And corruption maybe, I don't know, but it's just horrible. Catherine Drysdale is from Wigan. Oh, is she one of the women in it? I think she was, We also lost this week Burt Bacharach, and he was a writer of many songs, and he's won Oscars, Grammys, and he also wrote the song Alfie, which I didn't know, which Silver Blackhead had. I knew all his other ones, Carpenter ones that we got forced to sing when I was at school. God, I hated that. I didn't know they were Carpenter songs. They were just rubbish songs as far as I was concerned. I didn't want to sing them. I wanted to sing Adam and the Ants and stuff like that. But yeah, he's passed away aged 94, which is a pretty damn good innings. And when they recorded What's It All About, Alfie, he made her do it 31 times until he was happy with it. So yeah, I remember an earthquake thingy in Wigan about 5 years ago. Yeah, I've been aware of 3 earthquakes while I've been living in Wigan in the last 30 years, and one of them I was in my car and I just saw things shaking, but I couldn't feel it because suspension of the car, and I was driving, but I could see lampposts wobbling and stuff like that. It was peculiar. And then the last one was I was at home and I was downstairs and I didn't have the telly on for some reason, and I heard this really loud rumbling noise, and then everything started shaking, things rattling on the mantelpiece and stuff, for about five or 6 seconds, and then it went, but the rumble kind of went as well. It kind of went really loud, and then it was like when a car passes you, or a lorry passing you, and the ground vibrates. It was a bit like that. So it was like a tremor, I assume, moving outwards. But I mean, you're not even talking 1 on the Richter scale for those. They're like 0.5, or there might be a 1.5, but it's very rare we get anything over that. Whereas these 2 in Turkey were 7.8 and 7.5 or something, and they were close to the surface as well. And the closer they are to the surface, the more damage they cause. The lower down they are, the less damage they cause, because the earth acts as a shock absorber above it. But when it's near the top, then everything just rattles and shakes, which I think was a hit by Burt Bacharach. Okay, it wasn't, but I was just trying to tie the two things together. Didn't work. It was like being on water. Yeah, it would be, definitely. This is the weird thing now. We've got these strikes going on, yet patients received faster ambulance response times last month, despite it being the busiest January on record, and for the most serious 999 call-outs. Because obviously you've got COVID, you've got flu coming back again, added to your slips, trips and falls, and everything else that goes on, heart attacks, strokes, accidents, and that kind of thing. And yeah, waiting times for an ambulance dropped by an hour. They're still not where they should be, but it was a hell of an improvement. And you're like, but they were striking as well, so how does that work? It was very, very, very peculiar, but hopefully it's the start of good things. Although Rishi said that there's more ambulances coming, and hopefully staff to run them as well. Then Zelensky on Thursday went to Brussels with a different top on this time, and he had a word with the European Union leaders, some of whom he'd already met, I would assume, and asked for fighter jets again. Well, no, I've already said fighter jets for me are an attacking, not a defensive thing. I don't think fighter jets is the way forward. So that was Thursday. Obviously the news is dominated by what's going on in Turkey, so we're kind of rattling through the week. So Friday. Thank it's Friday. Where are we? America have shot down a UFO. And you're like, what? Over Alaska. Well, over the coast of Alaska. And you're like, a UFO? What are you on about? But it's not a UFO. It's not like that. They don't think it's from space. It's not like if you remember the TV show from the 1960s/70s called UFO. Sort of them things spinning around making a weird noise. But it was described as something the size of a small car that was kind of floating around, which is a lot smaller than the balloon that got shot down earlier in the week, because the balloon that got shot down earlier in the week, apparently the height of it was 22 stories high. So if you blew that balloon up on the ground, the top of the balloon would be probably as tall as the Arndale Centre building in the middle. It's a really tall balloon, but this was only the size of a car. And you're like, well, what was it then? Was it a drone? Was it a weird aeroplane thing? Was it a balloon, but you couldn't see the balloon, you just saw the thing hanging underneath? The balloon might have been higher up in the sky, you don't know. But anyway, the Americans shut it down. But no one's claimed it yet, I don't think. Balloon animals are something that I need to stop over in the USA. They are thinking of closing Only Walk-in Centre in Norwich, so that will be fun clogging up the hospital because you can't get an appointment. Yeah, exactly. How did that go again, Elder? Oh, what's it all about? But yeah, the Americans have shot something else out of the sky, but no one's claiming that it's theirs. So that could be a good thing, I suppose, if no one's claiming it. However, the tragedy keeps unfolding in Turkey/Syria. Death toll has now gone up to 22,000. A girl, though, aged 8, and her father were rescued after over 100 hours trapped within something like that. At minus temperatures, you just couldn't actually... You couldn't even think about stuff like that happening around here. It's just awful. And then there was some good news on the economy. The UK avoided a recession because Q4 of last year, which is the last 3 months, pardon me, of the calendar year, we got zero movement in our GDP, which is basically the amount of money that the country makes by making stuff to sell or offering services such as hotel, restaurants, that kind of thing. And it's all measured. And as you can see, in 2021, it bounced back to 6.5% because that's after lockdown and everything had finished. So prior to that, it had been low. As you can see, it was minus 1.1. But that's because no one was doing anything because everyone was in lockdown. And then so you got the bounce back of 6.5%, and then it kind of leveled off back to roughly where it was prior. And then the middle quarter, which is the autumn of 2022, it was minus 0.2%, which means we actually made less money by a fraction than what we did, than what we should have done. So the last quarter was flatlining, zero. So it wasn't negative. If it was negative and you get two negatives together, that's classed as a recession, as other countries are discovering. Because it's not just over here where everything is absolutely top. Hashtag just saying. Jeremy Hunt says it will be worse before it gets better, which I think's as honest as you can be under the circumstances. Bearing in mind he's Jeremy Hunt and he's yeah. Talking of Jeremy Hunt, our favourite RMT leader has flatly refused a extended pay offer, which was 9% over 2 years for the rail workers. He's demanding considerably more, and he doesn't want anyone to lose their jobs. And I'm like, if you had that mentality, if everyone had that mentality, and we actually listened to that mentality, we'd still be having steam engines going around. We'd still be having horse and cart going around, because we don't want to, you don't want to, the stable boys who look after the horses, they'll lose their jobs if everyone buys cars. Well, no, they just become mechanics. Things move on. And I personally now would do a Maggie Thatcher, and I would push for more automation on the rails and get rid of these lot, because they are affecting people who want to get to work. I mean, or want to visit family or anything. It's just ridiculous what they're doing. And striking is arcane, and I don't understand why. Oh, I just don't get it. So we'll wait and see. Right, Nicola Booley, they are now moving the search into Morecambe Bay, because that's where the river runs out to, and they are thinking that she may well have been washed out to sea now, but again we'll have to wait and see on that one. And then there was confirmation from Epsom College that the tragic case of the family who were found dead, it was actually murder-suicide. The father killed his 7-year-old daughter, I mean, what? And his wife, and then turned the gun on himself. Absolutely horrendous, on the grounds of the school, because that's where they lived. The house they had was, literally on the grounds of the school. And then today's news has been all about Turkey and Syria, and don't have a problem with that. It is awful what's happening there, and the death toll now is officially over 25,000 people, and it's now they're saying that it's very unlikely they're going to find anyone else alive in the rubble. So it's turning from a rescue to a recovery now, where they just recover the bodies, and then the families and the loved ones can actually get some closure and lay the poor people to rest. But again, thoughts and prayers for anyone involved in that, and if you have family or relatives or friends who are over there as well, I mean, it must be just awful what is going on. Another thing that's going on, which has kind of reared its head, and it's a bit left of centre, is Hogwarts Legacy is a new computer game that's just come out, and it is causing so much hassle. It's unbelievable. And I'm like, it's a computer game. Oh yeah, but it's based on Harry Potter. And you're like, right, okay, yeah, because it's called Hogwarts. If you don't know, it's basically a game which is set roughly 100 years before the Harry Potter books. It's in the same universe, but it's not written by J.K. Rowling. It's not... she hasn't had a lot to do with it other than creating Hogwarts in the first place. And people are saying that if you buy the game or you play the game, you're supporting trans hatred because of what J.K. Rowling said a few months ago about trans people and various other subjects that she probably shouldn't have been talking about, to be fair. And you're like, no, it's a computer game. She's not getting any money for it. It's a different company. It's not the same company who made the games for the Harry Potter games. Completely different company. Completely different everything. And I don't understand why a computer game is getting dragged in and people saying that this computer game, if you play it, means you hate transsexuals and you agree with J.K. Rowling and, you know, other crap that they come out with. I'm like, these people, these woke people, they need to be put in a box and sent off somewhere where they can be all happy and woke together on an island somewhere. Maybe the Caribbean. Send them down there and they can all live happily ever after in their wonderful world of pure niceness to each other. Because I can't imagine anything going wrong with a society that's completely run like that. It says, look at our society that's going that way. You don't see animals, do you? Saying, oh, okay then, right, you're the hunters, you're the protectors, you have the kids, but let's swap it round. Let's do it so that the ones who look after the kids go hunting. They don't. Everyone is set in a certain thing, and we have to do what's that. And you know, if you are transsexual, that's fine. If you're gay, straight, bisexual, asexual, whatever, doesn't matter. You're welcome to do that, but you can't force things onto people when it's a computer game. I don't get it. I'm back. Dog needed a wee. Oh, thanks. The best game ever was Tombi. If you've got an original Tombi on the PlayStation or on a cartridge, it's worth a few quid. That game, it was the ring game where you were in a rubber ring and you went down like a waterfall type thing. But yeah, it's worth a lot of money, that game. If you've still got it. If you haven't got it, well, it's not worth anything, is it? Yeah, I've got it. Well, there you go. Right then, so that is it in 43 minutes for the news. So next up, we've got what a week that was. Meanwhile, in America, oh God, America, please, why do you do this to us? Literally, why? Why don't you learn? Why don't you realise that the rest of the world looks at you and says, what is going on? There's some right stupid stuff as well this week. There's definitely some stupid stuff in Australia, but that's not unusual. There's some stupid stuff in America, and I think there's some stupid stuff in the Indian news as well. But obviously we do cover tragedies and the usual. But there is some light-heartedness going on in this as well. So, we will start at the beginning. Bear Arms is a t-shirt. Guns, guns and guns. Oh yeah. We've had this conversation, haven't we? It's what Zelensky was wearing. Russian art curators have reportedly helped loot. I mean, this is so Nazi-esque. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're hearing now that's going on when the Russians have taken over towns by taking people away and just executing them, raping the women, stealing stuff, people's cars, artworks that they might have in their houses. It is just criminal what they're doing, and I still can't understand why we're still letting him get away with it. But anyway, Russian art curators have been reportedly helped loot dozens of Ukraine museums. Russian art curators have reportedly led raids on approximately 30 Ukrainian museums since last year's invasion, guiding the pilfering of... no, not guiding. Including the pilfering of ancient artifacts from the war-torn country. Across Ukraine, museums have been looted for their famed Scythian artifacts which were left behind in the eastern Iranian nomadic people migrated from Central Asia to modern-day Ukraine from the 7th century. So yeah, well done Russia, you're so good. East Palestine in Ohio, 50-car train derailment keeps burning. I can't remember whether I mentioned this last week or not. I think I did. There'd been a yeah, I did. There was a train derailment. Because I said I hope it was not an Amtrak train. It was like a train carrying items, and it was. But the problem is the items were chemicals, and 50 cars have come off, and they're not like our tankers, you know, which are, I mean, they're not that big, but if they were that big, the American ones are like that big. And 50 of them come off, and they've caught fire, and they've been pumping out noxious chemicals. So it was in northeastern Ohio, caused a massive fire that burned through Saturday afternoon, forcing part of the community to evacuate. Roughly 50 cars being carried by Norfolk Southern train derailed around 9 p.m. Friday in East Palestine near Pennsylvania. The accident sparked flames that illuminated the pitch black sky and created smoke so thick that it basically turned day into night. Falco, no, that was a Freudian slip, wasn't it? Rock Me Amadeus, rock me Amadeus, 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 Amadeus. That was Falco, but this is Flacco, the owl, still on the run, I assume that means, after vandals cut it loose from a Central Park zoo. He's still winging it. The Eurasian eagle owl, liberated from his Central Park zoo enclosure by vandals earlier this week, has been spotted not far from home. Flacco, whose name means skinny in Spanish, was perched high in a tree above the park's Hallett Nature Sanctuary in the Manhattan Bird Alert account. The Manhattan Bird Alert account tweeted on Saturday morning. Birdwatchers kept an eye out for Flacco, the owl, in Central Park. Rock me Amadeus. Rock me Amadeus. Ex-staffer claims George Santos, who's my new least favourite congressman, sexually harassed him and violated pay rules as well. A short-term staffer for George Santos claims he was sexually harassed by the disgraced Long Island representative, who allegedly touched his groin and invited him home, according to an ethics complaint. The man says he filed today. A former journalist who secretly tape recorded Santos admitting that he lied to everyone tweeted that he complained to the Office of Congressional Ethics and the United States government, but nothing was done. What can you do? More about him later. Chinese spy balloon reportedly shot down over Atlantic Ocean. So this is America reporting what we've already discussed. The US military has apparently shot down the Chinese spy balloon. I mean, apparently shot down. I mean, look at that, obviously. Floated across North America for the past week. A video appears to show the deflated white balloon dropping down into the Atlantic Ocean 10 miles below, shortly after the craft cleared the South Carolina coast near Myrtle Beach. The FAA have closed the airspace for a short period whilst safety checks were carried out, and they tried to relocate what it was. More than 100 Ukraine POWs released in a prisoner swap with Russia. More than 100 Ukraine prisoners were freed in a prisoner swap with Russian officials from both countries. Ukraine presidential aide Andriy Yermak said that 116 prisoners, including troops from Mariupol, guerrilla fighters from the Kherson region and snipers captured during the battle for Bakhmut were freed in the trade, which Russian defence officials said they received 63 Russian troops. The Americans are powerful, but they're not intelligent. I mean, come on, look at the presidents they've elected. At least when we have a bad Prime Minister, we get rid of them fairly sharp-ish. They re-elect them. I'm thinking of Ronald Reagan. I'm thinking of George W. Bush. I'm thinking of Nixon. I'm thinking of nearly Trump, and possibly Biden. I mean, God. Well, they've been treated better now because they're back in their rightful countries. So the Russians have gone back to Russia, and the Ukrainians have come from Russia back to Ukraine. So it should be fine. Custom data reveals China is fueling Russia's war in Ukraine. Really? Who'd have thought? China is fueling Moscow's war in Ukraine by sending fighter jet components, navigational systems for military helicopters and other technologies since last year's invasion. This is what Russian customs data shows. The shipments, which are not weapons but have wartime uses, are reportedly among thousands of Chinese imports from both state-owned and private businesses recorded by the Russian Customs Office. A list that includes telescoping antennas for military vehicles that can be used for spying on enemy radio signals. This is nice, look at that. I told you there's some silly stuff. Carter was okay. I thought Carter was okay as well, but a lot of people go, no. And he didn't get re-elected. He only got what he got in once. Because I remember saying to my dad at the time, oh, it's a shame Carter's gone. I was only a kid, my stepdad, and I was only a kid. And I said, oh, it's a shame Carter's gone. He seemed alright. And my stepdad looked at me and went, oh, no. He said, if you knew about politics, you know he was a bad one. I'm like, right, okay then. So who have we got now? Nixon. Who's that? No, I'm joking. Ford was after Nixon. A £200 in weight Shrek sculpture is missing from its Massachusetts home. Law enforcement is hoping this quest as a fairy tale ending. Hatfield, Massachusetts, police are on the hunt for a £200 in weight lime green Shrek statue that mysteriously disappeared from its swamp. Police posted an alert of a photo of the handcrafted sculpture, which was reported missing on Monday. This approximate £200 cement Shrek sculpture has gone missing from its owner on Mountain Road. If you have any information, please contact your local enforcement officers. It's horrible. I think I'd be happy without it. I'll be honest with you. Giant panda Lily dies at Memphis Zoo. Lily, a giant panda on loan from China, died in the Memphis Zoo earlier this week. The 24-year-old bear died peacefully in his sleep on Wednesday. Lily's name translates to happy happy, and his name perfectly reflected his personality, the zoo said in a statement. Lily was a happy bear that enjoyed apples, engaging with enrichment and relaxing while covering himself with freshly mown grass. Ah, poor Lily. Lily is ninning. This isn't a very flattering picture of someone, but anyway. Off-duty New York police officer shot in the head during an apparent New York City robbery. America! Sorry, got the laws out. An off-duty New York police department officer is in a critical condition after he was shot in Brooklyn during an apparent robbery on Saturday night. Police sources have told the newspaper the officer was shot in the head in East New York. Sources said the cop was trying to buy a car on Facebook Marketplace when he was shot at what appears to be a botched hold-up. So yeah, this is one reason why I don't like things buying or selling things on Facebook. If you're selling things on Facebook, you're inviting people who you don't know to your house, and then they know you've got stuff that they want. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. And then if you want to buy something, you have to go to their house to pick it up. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening either. So yeah, Facebook, I'm not saying you get shot, but the risk is just too great, I think, for what it is. Pentagon workers to recover Chinese spy balloon, expects valuable intel from it. Defence officials said on Saturday that the mission to recover a shot-down Chinese spy balloon was underway and was being conducted by the US Navy and Coast Guard personnel. Yeah, they wanted the valuable intel from it. I mean, I'm not saying the Americans are thick, but they might realise that they might have misplaced something, so that, it might be worth them looking on it. You never know. Republicans demand Biden blow up TikTok over privacy concerns after shooting down Chinese spy balloon. And you're like, what's TikTok got to do with a spy balloon? Republicans are demanding that the Biden administration act against Beijing-based video sharing app TikTok after the military shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon that drifted across the US airspace for several days. Now, blow up TikTok, Republican Matt Gaetz posted on Saturday on Twitter, just hours after 2 US jet fighters destroyed the balloon in waters off South Carolina. They got it in for TikTok, haven't they? I've got a TikTok account. I don't really use it, but I've got a TikTok account. And if China want to spy what I'm up to, that's fine. I don't really do anything that exciting. Pope Francis joins Anglican Presbyterian leaders in denouncing anti-LGBTQ laws. All aboard the papal plane. Pope Francis, the head of the Anglican Communion and top Presbyterian minister, together denounced criminalisation of homosexuality on Sunday and said gay people should be welcomed by their churches. The three Christian leaders spoke out on LGBT rights during an unprecedented joint airborne news conference returning home from South America. TikTok is just crap. It is. It's just full of clickbait, isn't it? So I've been told. Americans don't want 2024 rematch between Biden and Trump. Hurrah! There are some Americans with brains. Americans are taking a been there, done that approach to the 2024 presidential election. Among Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents, 58 prefer someone other than President Biden to be their standard bearer in 2 years, and 49% of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents say the same about former President Donald Trump, according to the Washington Post. And let's hope we don't have either of them, and we get someone who's actually got a brain. And I said hay for brain then. A New Jersey man hired a hitman for $20,000 in Bitcoin to kill a 14-year-old. Now let that sink in. A guy has paid someone in Bitcoin $20,000 to kill a 14-year-old child. A New Jersey man who admitted paying a hitman $20,000 in cryptocurrency to have a 14-year-old child murdered may face up to 10 years behind bars. John Michael Musbich pleaded guilty to incitement, charging him with one count of knowingly and intentionally using and causing another to use a facility of interstate and foreign commerce, that is the internet, with the intent that a murder be committed. That's a mouthful, isn't it? The Department of Justice said on Thursday. I don't think the lad got killed, because I think if he did, 10 years is not enough. But just for thinking it, yeah, 10 years, yeah, throw away the key. A 91-year-old New York crossing guard retires after 41 years. My life feels so complete. Louisa Cobbs, a 91-year-old crossing guard, lollipop lady, from Long Island, New York, has retired after more than 4 decades on the job. On November the 4th, 1981, at the age of 50, Cobbs joined the Nassau County Police Department as the Leviton School District Crossing Guard. This is a very, very dedicated woman with tremendous community spirit who was a model employee. The executive of Nassau County told the newspaper. It's a nice story though, isn't it? Lollipop lady. 40 years, she'll have seen like 3 generations going through. Kids, they've grown up and had kids, so their kids come, they've grown up and had kids. So yeah, she'll have seen 3 generations of kids, and the kids that she originally started with may be going as grandparents now. Samantha Markle serves court papers to royals in defamation suit against Harry and Meghan. Both Princess Harry and Meghan Markle are expected to testify in the defamation case the Duchess's sister is bringing down against her, a report said. Samantha Markle filed paperwork on Friday demanding the ex-royals take the stand in a quest to prove Meghan had made false and malicious statements during the couple's March 2021 interview with Oprah. Samantha wants the duo to be deposed of the money that they earned from that and paid to charity, which is fair enough. No, Princess and Harry. Well, Princess Harry, why not? He's dressed as a Nazi. Might as well dress as a woman as well. Not that I'm linking the two together. A woman shot multiple times in New York City. America, sorry, you're going noisy. A woman was shot multiple times in the Bronx on Saturday evening, police said. Police responded to a report of a shooting at Cedar Avenue in Morris Heights around 5:30 p.m. When police arrived at the scene, they found the woman with gunshot wounds to her leg and hip. She was transported to the local hospital where she expected to recover. No arrests have been made. China claims right to respond further after US shoots down spy balloon. I did mention this earlier on. The Chinese government said on Saturday that President Biden's decision to shoot down the spy balloon that had crossed America was excessive reaction and that it retains the right to respond further. China claimed that the balloon was a civilian airship and not the spy device the US claimed it to be, and said that the US's decision to destroy its property seriously violates international convention. But surely flying something over another country without the permission of the other country seriously violates international convention. You can't have your cake and eat it, China. The less we have to do with China, the better. And the sooner we wake up to China, the better. I think we are doing now, but it's taking a while. Migrants abandon New York City for Canada with taxpayer-funded bus tickets. Migrant crisis is not just in the UK, it's all over the world. I've said this before. And disgruntled migrants fed up with the Big Apple's crime and grime are taken off to the Great White North on bus rides paid for by New York taxpayers. National Guard soldiers have been helping distribute tickets at the Port Authority bus terminal in Manhattan to migrants who want to head upstate before crossing into Canada. Just move the problem on. Just move the problem on. China. Indiana police officers shot, airlifted to hospital after suspect flees a traffic stop. A sheriff's deputy and a police officer were shot early on Sunday morning after a suspect violently resisted arrest and fled on foot after a standard traffic stop. I must admit, if I got stopped by the police in America, I would be bricking it. Cute cat alert. Florida cat given away by owner for being too affectionate finds a new home. Ah, look at them eyes. A cat named Jerry was surrendered to the Humane Society in December for being too affectionate, according to representatives, but has since been rehoused in a forever home. Oh, he's nice. That's nice. Dozens of New York City Police Department cops off the hook for misconduct during George Floyd protests. Nearly half the New York PD cops who assaulted, wrongly pepper sprayed or committed other acts of misconduct against George Floyd protesters face zero discipline, a new report says. Dozen more officers believed to be guilty of misconduct during the 2020 riots were let off the hook too, including cops who flashed white supremacy sign or were part of the infamous violent breakup of demonstrators in Mott Haven. Yeah, brilliant. How to put the trust of the police back to the people. Just let them off for beating people up who were protesting for a reasonable reason. Ohio residents urged to evacuate over fears of catastrophic blast from train derailment. Still on fire. Residents who live near the scene of a fiery train derailment in northeastern Ohio are being urged to evacuate to safety, with officials warning that a catastrophic tanker failure could cause an explosion that sends deadly shrapnel travelling up to a mile. The governor expressed fears for the safety of the people living within a mile of the site. People were forcibly evicted from the site, and to be fair, for their own good. I wouldn't have stayed there, I'll be honest with you. Teacher Abigail Zwiner sent emails about 6-year-old's behaviour before he shot her. The Virginia teacher who was shot by a 6-year-old student had warned administrators about his behaviour, including allegedly sticking his middle finger at a classmate and shoving another, and she said felt uncomfortable with him returning to her classroom. She reported the 2 disturbing incidents involving the boy in emails to her superiors in November 22, less than 2 months before the shooting. But I mean, I wouldn't say for a 6-year-old. I mean, obviously shooting someone with a gun is not something a 6-year-old does, but I don't think a child putting the finger up is particularly evil, and I don't necessarily think a child shoving another child is evil. That's what kids do. Yeah, I know they don't go around with guns shooting the teachers, but you know what I mean. I think that was a bit woke. You know, how many kids shove kids? How many kids did we shove when we were kids? Well, me none, because I never had a fight, but I know lots of people who did. A 3.8 magnitude earthquake strikes Buffalo area. It was on early Monday morning. The quake struck about 6:15 a.m. Just outside the city of Buffalo. The National Weather Service said it was unknown whether there was any damage from the quake, which was felt strongly by many people in the Buffalo, New York area. It was also said not to immediately know if any injuries have been reported from the trembler. They call them tremblers over there. But it's interesting, isn't it, and slightly tragic that I've kind of been, particularly with the Indian news, I've been going on about all these earthquakes for a few weeks now. Well, since the beginning of the year, pretty much. And I've been saying it's weird how there's all these earthquakes going on, and you know, are we going to get a big one? But I wasn't expecting it to be in Turkey or this soon. But yeah, US firms pumping billions into China's AI sector. US investors were involved in at least 37% of all investment transactions in China's artificial intelligence or AI sector between 2015 and 2021, according to a new report. Georgetown University Center for Security and Emerging Technologies found that 4.2 billion of the total money raised by all Chinese AI companies over this time period had US backing. However, the centre couldn't determine what percentage of that came from US investors or investors abroad. The money went to 251 different Chinese companies. So yeah, we've got to learn not to don't feed the hand that bites you. Talking of which, dead frozen shark found on Cape Cod beach during a cold spell. Good evening, Marty. A dead, partially frozen shark washed up on an icy beach on Cape Cod, Massachusetts over the weekend. A local photographer, who wasn't very good because he got more of the beach than he did the actual shark, a local photographer stumbled across the carcass and took a stroll as she took a stroll along the beach, aptly called Cold Storage Beach in Dennis, around 2:30 p.m. The photographer took a picture of the shark laying on its side in the icy sand and shared it on Instagram. And that's the end of the story, that's it. There's a dead shark on a beach somewhere that's a bit frozen. It's a bit like one of them massive tunas, isn't it? Talking of a massive tuna, Iran's supreme leader issues a pardon for tens of thousands of prisoners. Iran's supreme leader has pardoned tens of thousands of prisoners, including some arrested in recent anti-government protests, state news agency IRNA reported on Sunday, after a deadly state crackdown helped quell the nationwide unrest. However, the pardon, approved by the Ayatollah Al Khamenei, came with conditions, according to details announced in state media. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that, because they murdered many protesters for protesting against them. So yeah, this is a weird one. US traffic deaths are well above pre-pandemic levels. Traffic deaths in the United States have exceeded pre-pandemic levels. I mean, everyone's saying we want everything to be back as it was before the pandemic, or even higher, but certainly not that one. That's a horrible statistic. I don't know what's gone on. Kin of shot off-duty cop now making critical medical decisions. Shattered kin, i.e. family, of the off-duty cop shot during a botched Brooklyn robbery are now making critical medical decisions about the gravely wounded officer. During an appearance on MSNBC's Morning Joe, the governor said the officer, a married father of two, who was lured to East New York address on Saturday evening, was, brutally shot. Hopefully they make the right choices for him and he does recover to a degree. Mayor of Ukrainian city where civilians were slaughtered visits New York, demands Russia face war tribunal. I don't think there's anyone in the world outside Russia who don't think Russia should face a war tribunal. Like I said before, they are basically acting like the Nazis at the moment. It's just horrendous what Putin's making his troops do. The mayor of a Ukrainian town decimated by the Russian forces wants Moscow held accountable for extensive alleged war crimes that killed more than 400 people, insisting justice must be served. The mayor of Bucha, where 458 bodies were recovered in the aftermath of Russia's month-long occupation in March, is now calling for a proper tribunal to bring everyone to justice. And I think, yes, 100% back that. Like I did after the Yugoslavian war, Slovakians and all that kind of thing. Some of the stuff they were doing, heinous. And they did. There were war crimes, and many of them ended up in prison. A Long Island mum allegedly ran over teen twice to avenge her bullied son. A Long Island mum allegedly ran over a 15-year-old boy with her car twice to avenge her bullied son. She's now charged with attempted murder for allegedly slamming her car into the teen in the parking lot of a Manhattan bagel shop in October, then running him over 2 times because she believed he had earlier bullied and robbed her son. Perfectly reasonable action to take when one of your children has been bullied. Not. Freaks me out, America sometimes. MTA spent twice as much on 2nd Avenue subway consultants as it did on its construction. This is where the problems arise, isn't it? There's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. There's so many people who want money for doing bugger all, but they want big money because they've got the word consultant on them, or they've got a few letters after the names. And what they're meant to be doing is coming up with something that's going to suit everyone. What they actually come up with is something that is a complete and utter waste of time, and not fit for purpose. And yeah, I can believe that they spent twice as much on consultants than what they did on actually building the thing. The Metropolitan Transport Authority spent nearly twice as much on consultants for 2nd Avenue subway as it did to actually dig the tunnel. A damning new assessment revealed. The 400-page report from the researchers at New York University also revealed that the MTA's failure to properly supervise contractors to try and keep costs low, but the contractors were basically charging whatever they wanted and getting paid without being checked properly. A US military cautious that the Chinese spy flight had potential for explosives to detonate and destroy balloon. As the US military recovers debris from the Chinese spy flight that was shot down on Saturday, officials are cautious of the potential for explosives to detonate. So basically saying it was booby-trapped, because I don't think you'd actually put a bomb on there like the Zeppelins or anything like that. Reversing is a crime. It is, you're right. Two teens, 15 and 17, shot near New York City High School. America, sort your gun laws out, will you? A 15-year-old boy and a 17-year-old girl were shot near a Brooklyn public school on Monday afternoon, police sources said. The 2 teens were shot near Bushwick Avenue and about a block from the East Williamsburg Scholars Academy and the Progressive High School for Professional Careers. The young teen was grazed possibly in the head, and the older one was shot in the stomach. Their condition and motive were not immediately known. So no one knows why they were shot. Yeah, it's fine. It's just some kids getting shot. It happens all the time in America. Don't know what you're even bringing it up for. America, stop it. Florida man with cop killer tattooed across his chest busted for shooting at a copper. A Florida man with cop killer tattooed across his chest was busted on Sunday for firing at an officer during an attempted traffic stop. A detective with the Florida City Police Department commanded Virgilio Salgado, 28, to pull over on Saturday morning when he opened fire on the officer from his vehicle. A round struck the pursuing officer's cop's cruiser and disabled it around 4 a.m, allowing the gunman to make a getaway. But they knew who he was because he had cop killer tattooed on his chest. Eric Adams, he's the mayor of New York, lifts COVID vax mandate for New York City workers, but what about the 1,800 who were fired? Mayor Eric Adams is dropping New York's mandatory COVID-19 vaccine mandate for public employees, but nearly 2,000 workers fired for refusing to get the jab won't automatically get their jobs back. With more than 96% of city workers and more than 80% of New Yorkers having received their primary COVID-19 series and more tools readily available to keep us healthy, this is the right moment to, personal choice, and if it doesn't affect your job, I don't see what difference it makes whether you're jabbed or not. Salman Rushdie breaks silence after attack. I have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and nightmares. Author Salman Rushdie spoke out for the first time since he was brutally stabbed this summer at a literary event in western New York, saying he suffers post-traumatic stress from the colossal attack that left him partially blind. There is such a thing as PTSD, you know, he told the New Yorker in his first interview since he was stabbed 15 times by the lone wolf Islamic fanatic who copped to the attempted murder assassination last summer. So yeah, basically he's been blinded in one eye and stabbed many times. He's lucky to be alive, but he's had a fatwa on him for decades for writing the Satanic Verses, which takes the Mickey out of the Islamic God. I'm not allowed to say his name. American Psycho author slams New York City. How the f*** does anyone live here now? He thinks you'd have to be an American psycho to live here, despite arguably making his literally bones in New York City. Writer Bret Easton Ellis likely won't be moving back anytime soon. During a recent Big Apple trip to promote his new book The Shards, the novelist wondered, how the f*** does anyone live here? And pondered how someone could possibly call the now unrecognisable metropolis home. But yeah, the whole world's changing. Everything's changing. But you. He's not changing, is he? Everything changes but you? No? Okay, get me gone. Florida retains title as shark bite capital of the world in 2022 with 28% of the global total. Even sharks love hanging out at Florida's beaches, it says here. The Sunshine State led the world in unprovoked shark bites in 2022, accounting for 28% of all global attacks. The University of Florida's International Shark File logged 57 total chomps in the year, with the Sunshine State accounting for 16 of them. For decades, Florida has topped the global charts for shark attacks. Maybe be nicer to the sharks, they'll be nicer back. That's how it works, isn't it? No. Former top military official demands Biden get tough on China and says Trump got policy right. Days after Chinese spy balloon roamed across the US, a top former military and diplomatic officer urged President Biden to act like his predecessor towards Beijing, saying that the Trump administration's tougher approach is right. Retired Navy Admiral Harry Harris, who headed the US Indo-Pacific Command for 3 years and later served as the general of that, Anyway, he says we should be tougher on China, and we should be tougher on China. Memphis cop Demetrius Haley texted photo of bloodied Tyre Nichols after beating. I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse, doesn't it? I mean, we've had this in Britain. We've had some police officers photographing two murdered sisters and then sharing them on a WhatsApp group with other police officers. So it's not like unique to America. They got in prison for it, but you know, it's just wrong. One of the Memphis police officers charged with the murder of Tyre Nichols snapped a photo of the 29-year-old father, bloodied and handcuffed, and sent it to 6 people after they brutally beat him up. He was fired from his job after the killing. He took 2 photographs of the critically injured Nichols on his personal phone. I mean, sick individual. I've said before with the UK Met cop who's just got found guilty and sent to prison. Those cops, their life's going to be hell in prison, and I'm chuffed. MTA chairman Jano Lieber says fare beating tears at social fabric of New York City. The explosion of fare beating on New York City subways and buses tears at the social fabric of the Big Apple, while taking an ever-mounting toll on the cash-strapped MTA that trickles down the paying strap angles. Yeah, basically they just want to stop people getting on for free, because, well, why should you get on for free? If it's not free, pay for it. If you can't afford it, walk. Los Angeles County supervisors pass motion to strengthen gun regulations after mass shootings. And you're like, what? But Los Angeles, someone's woke up in Los Angeles and gone, oh, what? All these guns are killing people. Los Angeles County lawmakers approved a series of motions to tighten gun restrictions after several mass shootings in California. We will see how that pans out, because no doubt the National Rifle Association, the NRA, will have something to say about that. 100%. State of the Union 2023 drinking game. Here's how the internet is playing with Biden. President Joe Biden is set to deliver his second State of the Union address on Tuesday, and social media watchdogs are ready to get sloshed. A slew of liquor-loving pundits took to Twitter this morning to devise rules for their drinking game and encourage their followers to take part. When President Biden makes his call for unity, after spending much of last year bashing Republicans himself. So basically they come out with the same crap all the time, so every time they do, you get a shot. You drink a shot. Pro-lifer Spider-Man stuns Super Bowl attendees with 40-story climb. A pro-life protester shot the Super Bowl crowd in Phoenix on Tuesday, free climbing a 40-story building in a dangerous stunt. He's now in police custody after scaling the south side of the building without ropes or safety equipment. He live-streamed the climb on his Instagram account under the handle prolife.spiderman, saying he was attempting to raise awareness and money of his issue. I'm like, well, it's soft get. Absolute plonker. I mean, pro-life, yes, but not to the extreme that these people want it. Even if you're raped or whatever, you still have to have the baby. You can't have a... No. It's horrendous. Ukraine says Russia endured deadliest day so far as war's one-year anniversary approaches. Ukraine's military on Tuesday claimed that the last 24 hours of fighting were the deadliest yet for Russian troops, setting a chilling new record ahead of the war's one-year anniversary. Kyiv announced that the tally of Russian military deaths increased by over 1,000 overnight, making the total number of military fatalities 133,190. Russia has also claimed to have killed large numbers of Ukrainian troops in recent weeks. But again, it's propaganda from either side, isn't it? I tend to believe the Ukrainians more than I believe the Russians, but you know, you've got to big it up, haven't you? Man has his stolen TV returned just in time for the Super Bowl. What? A massive stolen TV in California was returned to its rightful owner thanks to a team effort from a trio of Good Samaritans, a Costco employee and the local sheriff's office. We were sure someone is missing something very important in preparation for Super Bowl Sunday, a big screen TV. The sheriff's office posted on Facebook noting that Good Samaritan had dropped off an 85-inch TV to watch the match. I mean, that's just sad, isn't it? I've got a 50-odd-inch TV downstairs, I know, but you know. US releases first picture of Chinese balloon recovery. The US military released the first official images of its Chinese spy balloon recovery efforts on Tuesday, as sailors continued to trawl the South Carolina coast for debris from the downed craft. Navy personnel were pictured hauling large sections of the high-altitude balloon, which US officials say measured 200 feet tall, from the waters off Myrtle Beach after the surveillance device was shut down on Saturday. In one image, half a dozen sailors could be seen dragging pieces of the balloon's white material aboard a dinghy. It was 20 stories high. That you need a bigger boat. I think we're going to need a bigger boat. New York City's pink pigeon, Flamingo, dies from the dye, and it was likely painted for a gender reveal. When doves die, this is what it sounds like. When doves die, bum 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 bum, bum bum bum. New York City's mysterious pink pigeon named Flamingo died last night after allegedly suffering an adverse reaction to the dye coating its body. We are deeply sad to report that Flamingo, our sweet pink pigeon, has passed away. The Wild Bird Fund wrote in a heartbreaking squabchery making rounds on Facebook. Yeah. Hi Paul, hope you're good. Lost my pink pigeon, there it is. Yeah, well, people do stuff like that. It's obviously a gender reveal, isn't it? When the box of pink pigeon flies out, you're having a girl. Oh! Unattractive individuals wear masks more often than others. I'm like, what? In post-COVID-19 world, people who perceive themselves as less attractive than others are more likely to keep wearing masks when they are highly motivated to make a good impression. That's according to a recent study published by Frontiers in Psychology. Absolute bull twaddle. I can think of a few people I'd sooner see with a mask on, and none of them wear a mask. Either that or they just don't know how ugly they are. I include me in that as well, by the way. Kim Jong-un resurfaces to tout preparedness for war. Diminutive North Korean despot Kim Jong-un re-emerged in public for the first time in more than a month to tout his troops. Preparedness for war in a fresh warning to the US and its allies. Kim was photographed presiding over a meeting of the ruling Workers' Party Central Military Commission just 2 days before the country's huge armed forces parade to mark its 75th founding anniversary of the Korean People's Army. Skin issues for my mask. Yeah. I think it's up to the individual. You want to wear a mask, wear a mask. You don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. But if you go somewhere where you're supposed to wear a mask, then wear a mask. Oh, I've already done Kim Jong-un. Oh, no. Newborn with umbilical cord still attached, pulled alive from Syria earthquake rubble. This is what I was on about earlier. A newborn with her umbilical cord still attached to her mother was miraculously pulled alive from the rubble in Syria after the devastating earthquake flattened their home, killing her mum and the rest of her immediate family. Extended family members discovered the infant as they trawled through the remnants of the home in North Syrian town of Jindaris in the aftermath of Monday's double earthquake. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I mean, when that child gets older, every day, every birthday, is the day that its immediate family died. Its mum, its dad, its siblings. Every birthday for as long as it lives. Awful. Abandoned dog taken in by coyote pack in the Nevada desert. And this is like a lovely story. It warms your cockles of your heart. A domesticated dog abandoned as a puppy and left to die in the Nevada desert was taken in by a coyote pack for several months. The white pooch was spotted travelling with the coyotes like a member of their pack by local residents since the summer. NBC local affiliates reported the unlikely friendship puzzled locals puzzled locals who posted sightings of the dog, who then named Ghost. And it's been online for the past 7 months. Ghost had been living among the coyotes since he was abandoned as a puppy. It's like, see, coyotes have hearts too. I mean, they might just be fattening him up so they can eat him later, but you know, it's nothing like that. Critics slammed Disney for anti-white episode of the Proud Family reboot. You know what? Disney do something controversial? Nah. They never do anything. No, okay then. Yeah, they did that. And then, they did that as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, just normal stuff then. Controversial Disney. It's how it goes. Critics are slamming Disney as woke and anti-white over an episode of a kids show that features the song covering the history of slavery in the US and needs for reparations. Reparations. The backlash stemmed from a Juneteenth episode of the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, a reboot of the popular early Thoughts cartoon that airs on Disney's streaming service Disney Plus. So yeah, people are complaining now about cartoons. There's so many more important things to worry about. For example, gun crime. Ohio crews released toxic chemicals into the air from derailed tankers. Toxic chemicals were released into the air on Monday from 5 derailed tankers after officials warned nearby residents to flee or remain in a potentially deadly situation. The controlled release of dangerous vinyl chloride from the 5 rail cars in danger of exploding came out of Friday's train derailment in the tiny Ohio village of East Palestine. Imagine Disney Robin Hood now. Oh God. Yeah. I'd be maybe a bit upset actually. Church of England might give God gendered neutral pronouns. And you're like, what? What? So, in the made-up story that's God and Jesus and all that, the Church of England is considering scrapping centuries of religious teachings to give God gender-neutral pronouns. The Church, which is headed by King Charles III, confirmed on Wednesday that its Liturgical Commission has launched a special project to examine updating further teachings. The potential shift away from referring to God as Him or Our Father, as used to start the Lord's Prayer, are welcomed in certain quarters. In other quarters, just leave it alone. It doesn't exist, so why changing it? He's not going to get offended, is he? He doesn't exist. Hashtag told you that already. China calls on US to return spy balloon debris. I bet they do. High-ranking Chinese diplomat has called on the US to return the debris from the spy balloon shot down over the weekend, saying that the failure to give back the parts would be more proof that the Americans have been dishonest in the conflict. If a person picks something up on the street and knows who the owner is, he should return it to the owner, China's ambassador to France, Liu Xiaoying said during a Monday interview with the French channel LCI. The Catholic religion should stick to T rather than gender. Well, God is a woman anyway, according to Ryan. Yeah. Well, God is God, innit? I mean, they're not male or female, to be fair, but you know, I can't understand changing it. Oh, begin to feel tired now. Where are we up to? Bum 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 bum. We've done that one. We've done that one. Yeah, we've done that one. Dum 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 dum. We've done the dog. We've done that one. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un brings daughter to visit troops. She's 9 years old apparently, but she's dressed like she's 49. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un brought his daughter to visit troops to mark the 75th founding anniversary of the country's army as he lauded the irresistible might of his nuclear-armed military state. The visit came amid indications North Korea is preparing to stage a massive military parade in the capital Pyongyang, where it could showcase its latest military hardware from the 1950s. It doesn't say from the 1950s, but let's be honest. It's from the 1950s. How to stand out in a crowd? I mean, seriously, what is that? You wear what you want, but this is the State of Union address. One of the senators basically dressed like she was going to a club on Canal Street. It's very peculiar. Senator Kristen Sinema ignited Twitter over the bright yellow dress she wore at President Biden's State of the Union address on Tuesday, with social media users cracking jokes over flamboyant outfit choices. Sinema's loud dress with a giant ruffled sleeves jumped out amongst a sea of Congress members in black and navy business attire, and many on Twitter said it was an obvious attention-grabbing stunt. Well, to be fair, it worked, because why would a middle-aged man in Wigan be talking about it on the internet? So well done you. You got what you wanted. I mean, still think you're an idiot, but we talked about you. Biden, a laugh riot in the flub-filled State of the Union, opens with a Schumer gaffe. President Biden got off to a rocky start right off the bat for his State of the Union address on Tuesday when he incorrectly referred to his partner's majority leader, Senator Chuck Schumer, as the minority leader, and the hits just kept coming at times, drawing laughs from across the aisles. Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it, that, you know, someone who can't string a sentence together is one of the most powerful men in the world. Accused Dallas Sioux thief vows to steal more animals if sprung from jail. Well, that's going to get you let out, isn't it? Well, it's America, so it probably would. The man accused of stealing 2 monkeys from the Dallas Zoo vowed to steal more animals if he sprung out of jail, according to court documents. He professed his affinity for animals to investigators as new details of his alleged zoo thefts surfaced from court documents following his arrest last Thursday. Irvin admitted to police he waited until nightfall on January the 29th before he hopped over the zoo fence and stole the 2 monkeys and then put them in an empty house, like you do. Well, yeah, but it's America, isn't it? Double standards, Deno. Teen who savagely beat a 9-year-old girl in Florida school bus charged with battery, and rightly so. A 15-year-old Florida boy who was filmed viciously beating a 9-year-old girl on a school bus has been charged with battery. The sickening, widely shared video shows a much larger teen and another boy mercilessly pummeling the 3rd grader student at Coconut Palm Canine Academy in Homestead. Yeah, it's just horrendous. And how people think that they can just do stuff like that and nothing will happen. Beyond me. I mean, supposed to be lucky didn't have a gun. Washington's Centennial Elementary backpedals a minority-only club after parent outrage. A Washington elementary school has planned on banning white students from a new safe space club until backlash forced it to reconsider segregating its 5th graders. The school had kicked off the calendar year with a new Black and Indigenous People of Colour student group for 5th graders that only accepted its minority students, according to an email. I don't think I've said this before, but it does feel that if this carries on the way it's carrying on, everyone should be treated equally, but if this carries on the way it's going to carry on, we're going to have people marching in the streets in 10, 15, 20 years' time saying white lives matter. We just need to treat everyone equally and get on with it. Just stop faffing around, you fool. Don't be a fool. Students among 3 people shot outside New York City High School, cops say. America, sort your gun laws out, because 3 people, 2 of them students, were shot outside a Brooklyn high school on Wednesday afternoon, police and law enforcement sources said. Bullets flew at around 2 p.m, close to dismissal time outside the Williamsburg Charter High School. A female student was shot in the back and a male student was shot in the leg. I mean, I just don't get why it keeps happening. World Cup star Christian Atsu still missing after false report he survived the earthquake. The World Cup soccer star, who was believed to have been pulled from the rubble of the earthquake in Turkey, is still missing, his agent said on Wednesday. His agent added that despite his soccer club announcing on Tuesday that the player had survived the ruinous earthquake, they haven't been able to confirm his whereabouts. It is unclear what contributed to the confusion. Again, doesn't matter whether you're famous or not famous, it's just awful. And yeah, if you sleep in bed, you can't do anything about it, can you? Just night. New York City man shot dead by apparent stranger during a street fight. America, gun laws, sort them now, please. A 31-year-old man was shot and killed by an apparent stranger during a fight on a Bronx street. Marcus Lane was blasted in the chest minutes before 9 a.m. on Tuesday. The victim and an unidentified person were fighting when a shooter approached Lane and opened fire at him. Lane, who lived only blocks away from where he was shot, died instantly. Yeah, America. What a fantastic place. I really don't get America. New Zealand police find 3.5 tonnes of cocaine worth $300 million floating in the Pacific Ocean. So more than 3 tonnes of cocaine were found bobbing in the Pacific Ocean after the drugs were dropped there by an international drug trafficking ring. The New Zealand Police Commissioner said the wholesale value of the drugs is about 500 million New Zealand dollars, which is equivalent to $316 million US, and likely to be destined for Australia. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane, I tell you. Where are we up to? We've just done that one, so we're on this one. Done. Breastfeeding mum ordered to use bottles in custody in custody dispute with dad. A Virginia mum has been ordered by a judge to stop breastfeeding her 6-month-old daughter and instead make every effort to bottle feed in order to accommodate a bitter custody agreement with the dad. Alita Ramirez has been breastfeeding her daughter since she was born in July, and also breastfed her older son for 2 years. That's a bit long. Bitty? Yeah, 2 years now. Oh. King Charles cancels annual ski trip for the first time in 45 years. King Charles has pulled the plug on his annual skiing getaway for the first time in 45 years as he gears up for his historic Coronation Street. The monarch, who ascended to the throne in September following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, will be finally crowned on May the 6th, and in a cautious bid to remain injury-free for the big day, the king has opted out of slope sliding in Switzerland's Cloisters village this year. Oh, poor king, poor kingy. He can't ski. To be fair, you think he's getting on a bit for skiing, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Yeah, I would. What's this one? Unlucky sleeping commuter becomes playground for subway rat. The subway is a real rat race these days. A dozing commuter on New York City subway was shaken from his slumber to find one of the large rodents crawling all over his body. The 20-second footage, shows the unidentified gentleman dressed in grey jeans and a blue vest being rocked to sleep by the train car. Unbeknownst to him, a mangy rat sizes up that moment to raise up his leg and onto his lap. Yeah. Yuck. Yucky, yucky, yucky. Oi, oi, oi. Yucky, yucky, yucky. Oi, oi, oi. Right, where are we? Have we done that one? Where's he got? We've done that. There we go. Stamps. This has been reported in New York, but we'll go with it. King Charles become the first monarch to be featured on stamps without a crown. King Charles has become the first monarch in British history. Had the rat paid its fare? No, it's one of them things that they're trying to get to pay fares, but they keep sneaking on for free. King Charles has become the first monarch in British history to be featured on postal stamps without a crown. New stamps featuring the sovereign, who is set to be formally crowned on May the 6th, were announced by Britain's Royal Mail on Wednesday. The design features the 74-year-old King's side profile created by sculptor Martin Jennings. I always thought they faced them opposite ways. Was that just on the money? So the Queen faces left to right, he faces right to left, or whatever. Don't know. Just a guess. Denver man using app to track stolen car exchanges gunfire with suspects. A 12-year-old killed. America, gun laws now. Denver police say a man tracking his stolen car through an app exchanged shots with the suspects in an incident that left a 12-year-old Elias Armstrong dead. I mean, is your car worth a life of a child? Very much doubt it. No, but I think when it was the Queen's father, let's have a look. I've got a main out where the Queen's father one. The crown isn't actually on the head, but it is on the front of the stamp. You can see that. Whereas obviously the Queen's wearing her crown, or a crown. It's not the crown. So yeah, I think that's what it meant. Her late Majesty is wearing a crown. It's not the big crown, but it is a crown. It's not the one that the King will get Coronation Streeted in. China has a lot of explaining to do after spy flights found violating sovereignty on 5 continents. The US says China has a lot of explaining to do to the international community after its surveillance balloons were spotted over 5 continents across the globe. Oh, can of worms has been opened, hasn't it? Can of worms opened. A circlet. A bear rescued after getting stuck in icy ditch during hibernation. Wildlife officials in Minnesota say they rescued a 6-year-old bear stuck in an icy culvert during hibernation after receiving calls from residents. Yeah, it shouldn't be. It should be tucked up underground, nice and safe. Here's our friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. Phoenix fire captain blasts pro-life Spider-Man for scaling Phoenix's tallest building as being very, very dumb. A professional climber ascended one of the Chase Towers in Phoenix, Arizona, and has been captured on video, but officials are calling the stunt dangerous and very dumb. Yeah, I don't think there's any get out of that one. It is dangerous and very, very dumb indeed. But anyway, in police custody, so it's fine. Florida teens arrested after vandalising elementary school, causing over $30,000 in damages. 4 teenagers between the ages of 14 and 16 caused more than $30,000 of damage when they vandalised their local school. At least they're sensible, eh? Keep it local and all that. Right, we've done that one. 3-year-old recovering after being caught in Florida drive-by shooting crossfire. 3-year-old. Sheriff deputies in Orange County, Florida are trying to figure out how a 3-year-old girl in a car seat was caught in the crossfire for a drive-by shooting. America, gun laws, sort them out, please. Please. We don't ask for much. We don't ask for much. Wendy's teen employee recovering after being shot through drive-through window. Police in Massachusetts are trying to figure out who shot through a Wendy's drive-through window, injuring a teen working inside. Anyone who knows anything is asked to contact the police. I don't know why, because they don't really do a lot, do they? A 7-year-old Syrian girl protects brother from earthquakes and lies in the rubble for 36 hours. A brave little girl in Syria was found shielding her younger brother's head from rubble after their home collapsed in the deadly earthquake that struck their country and Turkey this week. The heart-wrenching video shown on Wednesday, rescuers spotted 7-year-old Mariam and her brother, whose ages are known, under the slab of concrete near the town of Haram, even not Harlem. Well, do what sisters do, eh? Look after your younger brother. Marijuana users have a constitutional right to own firearms, a judge rules. I mean, no words. Apart from that, it looks like the Grand Theft Auto gun shop, but to be fair, all gun shops in America probably look like that. Marijuana users have a constitutional right to own firearms, a federal judge in Oklahoma City ruled on Friday, making the latest challenge to making it the latest challenge to firearm regulations. Doesn't it? Makes you mad, makes you fuming. See, some are trying to restrict them and other ones are not. 4 hurt, 1 killed following a shooting in Colorado. America, shut your gun nose out, won't you? Just sort them out. Sort it out. Sort it out. King Charles' shocking response as fans ask, "Can you bring back Harry?" King Charles offered up an hilarious response when he asked whether his estranged son Prince Harry would be welcomed back into the royal fold. The Royal Monarch, 74, was meeting with students at the University of East London on Wednesday when one fan brazenly asked the burning question, "Can you bring back Harry?" Charles replied, "Who?" Enough said. Sure up, Harry. Russia amassing 500,000 soldiers, 1,800 tanks to launch a new offensive in 10 days. Russia is preparing to launch a powerful new offensive in 10 days, involving up to 500,000 conscripts and thousands of pieces of military equipment with the aim of capturing the entire Donbass region in eastern Ukraine, according to Kyiv's military officials. Iranian officials and foreign analysts have been predicting for weeks that the Kremlin was gearing up for a decisive push to seize power. Yeah, Charles should have said, "Oh, James's lad." A New Jersey girl, 14, takes her own life after a video shows other girls beating her up. Again, the mentality of kids at the moment, and it's not just in America, it's all over the world. A 14-year-old New Jersey high school student took her own life after a video was posted online of a group of girls attacking her. 14, you haven't even started living at 14. Meta restores Donald Trump's access to Facebook and Instagram. And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't care less. Guinness World Record for oldest mouse in human care awarded to this California critter. A tiny California mouse has now a big title after winning a Guinness World Record for longevity. A Pacific pocket mouse named Pat after Star Trek actor Patrick Stewart received the Guinness approval on Wednesday as the oldest living mouse in human care at the ripe age of 9 years and 209 days. And how the hell do you know when a mouse has been born? How do you don't get a birth certificate for it, do you? It's just silly. 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 Hot rod. Men with small penises are more likely to buy flashy sports cars. Well, who knew? The faster the car, the smaller the stick shift. Men with a smaller than average penis are more likely to want to own high performance sports cars. Yeah, I think that's just a given, isn't it? I think, we've all known that for a long while. Big car, small, be as we see. That's right, calendar. Lawyer dies after gun triggered by hospital MRI scan. You're like, what? A Brazilian lawyer tragically died after his gun was discharged by an MRI machine's magnetic field at the hospital. The freak accident... where are we? Lost it. Blah blah blah. The freak accident occurred in January while the gun-loving lawyer was taking his mother to get scanned. Unbeknownst to hospital staff, the attorney had a registered gun in his possession, and didn't remove it when the couple were asked to remove all metal objects from their bodies. So that would include piercings and things like that. Obviously. Oh, I'm so tired. Anyone think I've been up? 34 hours. Biden says he may have skipped Poland trip. He may skip Poland trip for Russian invasion anniversary. President Biden said on Thursday he may skip a planned visit to Poland to mark the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, despite US and Polish officials already confirming the trip. Yeah, as decisive as ever, I think. Zelensky greeted with standing ovation and cheers at EU Parliament, as well as UK Parliament as well. Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky was treated to a hero's welcome when he appeared before the European Parliament to plead for his country's ascension to the European Union, and asked for jets as well. Oh, and by the way, have you got any jets I could take back with me? Jets. Take them back with me, please. Go on. Jets. Biden's State of the Union TV audience down 29% from 2022, lowest in 30 years. An estimated 27.3 million people watched Biden's State of the Union address, a 29% drop from the audience for last year's speech. So no, it's like a comedy show, isn't it? So I'd keep with it. Not yet, but one's coming. Woman pours dog feces over new mum's car for parking outside her home. A vigilante who poured dog feces on a mother's car for parking it outside her home has admitted damaging the cars, but claims she is the real victim. She is talking, if you ask me, absolute nonsense. You've got a new car and someone spills on it, then I think you're entitled to be a bit vexed. Chinese spy balloon carried antennas and other intel materials. The Chinese spy balloon that floated across the United States last week before being shot down off the South Carolina coast was equipped with antennae and other intelligence gathering materials, as senior State Department officials said. It also said that the balloon carried a large solar panels capable of running various intelligence collection sensors. Yeah, they were massive, them solar panels. So, not good. Not good. 99 red balloons. Happens to be a big white one. World War III. Here we go. Who's going to drop the first nuke bomb? A man admits treason in threat to kill late Queen Elizabeth II with a crossbow. I mean, if she's already dead, you ain't going to kill her. But anyway. A man has admitted to committing treason after showing up at Windsor Castle in 2021 with a loaded crossbow, threatening to kill the Queen. Oh, she was still alive at the time. It made no sense if she was already dead. What are you doing? I'm coming to kill the Queen. You do know where you are, don't you? Yeah, I know where I am. Yeah, okay, I'm just checking. A Baltimore building collapses, leaving at least one dead and several injured. And this is another car that's crashed into a building and the building's fallen down. At least one person is dead and several others were injured after a car crashed into a building in Baltimore, Maryland on Wednesday, resulting in partial collapse of the structure, authorities said. Yeah, but we obviously don't make buildings very good. They can withstand one car hitting them and they just collapse. It can't be right. Can't be right at all. She said that would have put a dampener on Christmas. She always had a good sense of humour, the Queen, I'll give you that. Cops never told Tyree Nichols why he was stopped in fatal traffic arrest. The Memphis officer who pulled over Tyree Nichols before he was fatally beaten up never explained the reason for his traffic stop. I mean, again, you couldn't write this. If you wrote this in a soap opera, a movie, people would be walking out of the theatre saying that this is utter nonsense and you are chatting twaddle. But no, there it is. Woman arrested after young daughter writes school story about mum shooting at dad. Tennessee woman was arrested after her daughter wrote a story in a kindergarten class about her mother shooting at her father during a fight at home. Again, you couldn't write it. You couldn't make it up. But there you go. She's been arrested. Minnesotans try to feed trapped black bear Pop-Tarts, Swedish fish and cat food. So you've got a bear that's trapped and people are trying to feed it Pop-Tarts. Well, this is embarrassing. Minnesota state officials have had to remind the public not to approach a hibernating bear after a well-meaning group tried to offer a smorgasbord of sweets and cat food to one of the animals that was stuck in the snow. Yeah. How stupid do you have to be? Answers on a postcard too. Not, well, about as stupid as you.co.uk. Have we done that one? No. Evacuation order lifted after hazardous Ohio train derailment fire. So things are calming down now. The train is still derailed, but the fires are going out, so people can actually return back to their homes now. The risk of certain death has vanished. I think we need to introduce a patient, yeah. Florida man who broke into gas station, stole dog food, smokes and caught after leaving behind his debit card. A Florida man is under arrest after police said he stole from a gas station and left his debit card with his name on it at the scene of the crime. Deputies with the Flagler County Sheriff's Office responded to an alarm at a gas station early on Sunday morning in Palm Coast, Florida, and found the front door of the business unlocked. After searching the petrol station, we found the guy's credit card that he'd left. 2 kids killed after a totally naked bus driver crashes into a Canadian day centre. And you're like, how many elements of what the hell has this got? Obviously, tragedy of the kids being killed and injured, but a bus driver completely naked driving his bus into a kindergarten. Horrible. Horrible. I just hope as many people as possible are not going to be affected by that long run, because I think that's important. What happened then? Oh, okay. That flummoxed me. Oh no, we've done that one. Dole. Where are we going? All the way to the bottom now. We're nearly at the bottom. Nearly done. Hurrah! I've never been so happy to see the bottom of the page. Turkey silences earthquake response critics with Twitter ban. Well, that'll do it, won't it? Your response that people have paid for with their earthquake tax was worse than shite. And how do you respond? You ban people from using Twitter. Pulitzer winner Seymour Hersh claims the US Navy behind the Nord Stream gas explosions. Now, I don't say them doing that would help anyone, I'll be honest with you. You've got to go to bed, stay safe. Good night, Elder DQ Camp Alexander in chat. Please don't forget Elder's road trip on Tuesday night and part 2 later in the evening. Please hit the like button by pressing or leaving if you don't mind. By passing by a well. Okay, yeah. Yeah, good night, Angela. Sleep well. What time is it? 10 past 10:10. 10:10 till we do it again. Uraniums. Ukraine Zelensky embraces reporter in touching moment during historic UK trip. This was weird. Most world leaders don't get this type of embrace from press, but Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky interrupted a news conference and threw security measures to the wind to hug a BBC Ukraine journalist during a surprise visit to the UK on Wednesday. The wartime leader was taking questions along with the UK Prime Minister Rishi after pushing for fighter jets in a dramatic speech to lawmakers. I will get some sleep. Hopefully this the mainstream media have so much information and power and show you the same style news each day, and there is a lot of what you have said going on that never gets told. No, that's why I go on about it. It's, you know, like, we're always going on about, you know, we've got strikes going on here, we've got inflation going on here, we've got, you know, marches going on, we've got mortgage rises going up, we've got unemployment, we've got this, we've got that, we've got the other. But then, when you look at other news from around the world, they've all got the same thing. I'll tell silence when I see you. Angela, take care, good night. Ukraine Zelensky, yeah. I've no idea. She might have had a baby. That made you feel foolish, didn't it? Yeah. US and allies hold joint Air Force exercise aimed at China after spy flight shoot down. The United States, United Kingdom and Australia deployed for China-focused Air Force exercises over Nevada, simulating dogfights with Chinese jets and attacks from air defences. Yep, we're going to war with China, everyone. Don't expect the galleries to be rebuilt anytime soon. Arizona teen arrested after drive-by shooting kills 15-year-old, injures child in Phoenix. Police in Phoenix say a teenager boy has been arrested following an investigation into last week's drive-by shooting that killed a 15-year-old boy and injured a 10-year-old child as well. 15-year-old shooting and killing people. Come on, America, sort it out. Philadelphia police officer shot during traffic stop. 2 arrested, 1 being sought. A Philadelphia police officer was shot during a traffic stop on Wednesday, and one of 3 suspects is still being sought, which is looked for. And the penultimate one, World War II bomb explodes in England in an unplanned explosion. A World War II bomb exploded in the English town of Great Yarmouth on Friday as workers attempted to defuse it, according to the police. The device was discovered on Tuesday in a river crossing in Great Yarmouth. It was located by a contractor working on the third crossing over the River Yare. And on Friday, Norfolk police revealed there had been an unplanned detonation. No injuries were reported. The police said all the army and everyone was away from it. Yeah, I've known about this and I've seen it on, and they kind of built like a sandbanks around it. You know, like if you watch old army movies, World War II movies or whatever, they have things going on. I keep thinking that's flashing, but it's nothing in it as far as I know. The crane's never budged. No, the crane is... to be fair, what they did was they put these sandbags in, so if it did go off, it would go straight up rather than out. Obviously the sandbags would get blown out, but the main explosion would be forced up in the air. Can you imagine though if China had one of their balloons going over? Oh, they'd be pissed, wouldn't they? How dare you use a World War II bomb from Germany to blow up one of our spy balloons? Oh, they'd be fuming. They'd be absolutely ballistic with rage. They would be bouncing. They would be fuming. Naked Georgia man leads police on a chase after stealing an ambulance. Now, in Canada, we had a naked bus driver who tragically killed 2 kids and injured others after crashing his bus into a nursery. But now we've got a naked man in America, in Georgia, stealing an ambulance and getting off with it. China. But yeah, what is about driving naked? I mean, you know, we all have dreams of being naked in public places, but I've never dreamt of driving naked. Although, to be fair, I did once drive naked. I had no choice. I got covered in mud and I had nothing to clean myself with. Long story. I was young. I fell into it. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Next up, that's it for America. So where are we? Next up is Australia. Not so many in Australia, which is always a good thing. So meanwhile, down under, mate, what's been going on down under? There's some right weird poop going on in Australia. Once again. What a week that was. Australia. They reported, obviously, the Chinese spy balloon being shot down, because, you know, that's the big news of the week worldwide. The US military has shot down the suspected Chinese surveillance balloon over the Atlantic Ocean after it was first spotted travelling over the US earlier this week. Top military officials have advised against shooting down the balloon while it was over the continental US, given the risk that debris could pose to civilians and infrastructure. Where did you fall and get muddy? It was a kind of a rope swing thing that didn't end well. Didn't end well. It was up in near Lake District. Oh yeah, it didn't end well. 16-year-old girl dies in fatal shark attack in a river. A teenage girl has sadly died after being attacked by a shark in a Perth river yesterday afternoon. The 16-year-old girl was pulled out of the river after suffering leg injuries, but tragically died at the scene. It is believed to be the first shark attack in the river for 100 years. I mean, talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's awful. But look, tighter gun laws coming to Western Australia. In an Australian first, mental health checks will be mandatory for gun owners. That one is so simple to do, America. You could do that yourself. You could even claim you come up with it yourself. No one would argue with you. Just stop innocents being killed by innocents, i.e. kids killing kids, or kids being killed in crossfire with legally owned guns. Tougher gun laws are coming to Western Australia, with mandatory mental health checks to be introduced for gun owners. It comes after police investigations revealed mental health played a role in almost half of gun-related deaths in 2022. No poo Sherlock. In over 100 gun owners were referred to police over their mental health concerns in the last 6 months. So at least they're trying to do something. And you don't hear of many gun crimes in Australia, do you? Oh, what's happened there? What's happened? Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, there you go. That didn't pop up quick. It was there, but it wasn't there. Like, what the hell's that about? A man attempting to sell a phone on Facebook Marketplace was stabbed when two people came to his Adelaide house to buy the device. What did I say? Facebook is so dangerous. You're inviting people you don't know to your house to buy expensive items. Insane. Yeah, that's it really. It's just insane. Eating more ultra-processed foods raises the risk of developing and dying from cancer, especially ovarian cancer, according to a new study. So, for that reason alone, to be fair, I knew this a while ago, so I stopped eating a lot of processed foods a long while ago, because, you know, I don't want to get ovarian cancer, I'll be honest with you. And if by just eating non-processed food I reduce my risk of it, then all's the better. But thank you, Australia, for pointing that out to us. Thank you. Guys, don't make this mistake ever. A New South Wales fisherman has accidentally pumped a mammoth $536.76 Australian cents worth of fuel into the rod holder of his boat. Not into the engine, into the place where he puts his rods when he's driving around. $536 of fuel just pumping away there. In it goes, and it's not going into the petrol tank at all. It's like, yeah, only in Australia. On Wednesday, police responded to a report that a man had left a dead fish on the porch of a house used in the Goonies. 2 days later, the same man allegedly broadcast a mayday call from a stolen boat. So there's a picture there, the boat, and it tips over with the waves. The guy falls out, they rescue him and then arrest him for trespass and leaving a dead fish. I mean, I don't know. People are being warned not to gather or consume any dead sea life washed up on the beaches. Now this is batteries and babies, isn't it? I mean, who in their right mind would eat any sea life that was already dead on a beach? I mean, if you catch it yourself and you kill it yourself, like a fish or something like that, then fair play. Or if someone you know's done it, fair play. But you wouldn't walk along Blackpool Beach or that beach in America and pick that shark up and think, oh, I'll take this home and have it for my tea. It's like, ugh. Madness. And this is a weird one. The 65th Grammy Awards, and that is Harry Styles. Shut Up Harry. Have you heard his music? Shut Up Harry. And he's, I don't know, it baffles me. I mean, he's not an ugly guy, but them tattoos, Jesus Christ, what's going on there? If you're wearing stuff like that, don't wear. I don't understand why kids, because he got them when he was a kid, wasn't he, in One Direction, why you would have tiny little tattoos that mean absolutely naff all to you all over your body. My daughter's done it. She's got loads all over her arms, on her legs, and they mean nothing to her whatsoever. She's now got 2 kids, and she's not got anywhere to put tattoos to celebrate the kids, because she's got all this crap on her, and he's the same. I mean, imagine if he had no tattoos with that on. It still looked ridiculous, but it looked less ridiculous. I just don't understand tattoos, I'll be honest with you. Imagine walking around Wigan shopping in that stuff. I'll tell you what, I used to have a job in Asda nights, and one time a woman come in, and she had black skin tight leather gear on with straps and studs and all this kind of thing, and she had a lead, and at the end of the lead, on his hands and knees, was a middle-aged man wearing nothing but a gimp mask and a dog collar and skin-tight leather shorts, shopping in Tesco. And you know, we're all like, we had a laugh about it and everything, but we let them carry on. You know, no one stopped them. We threw them out because it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. They were like the only shoppers in the shopping thing. But you're like, madness. But then one day, I think before I worked there, so a few years earlier, I'd been to Asda, and there was a guy walking round with Iggy Pop style trousers on and no underwear. And Iggy Pop wears see-through plastic trousers, so everything was on view. And I didn't work there at the time, but I would have asked him to leave for that one, because it was daytime and kids, including my daughter, were around. But I managed to, you know, swerve the head of my daughter, and I think I nearly broke her neck actually. I think she got whiplash, and she got £3,000 off me for whiplash. But yeah, it was better than seeing that when she's like 7. But no, wear what you want, you know, it's fine. But you know, when you've got, yeah, I just don't understand the tattoo things. That's what I was getting at. That was Grace Jones. Your private life drama, baby, leave me out. I love Grace Jones. I think she's brilliant. Every time she's interviewed everywhere, she just doesn't give a monkey's left dangly bit, and it's just brilliant. And she was great in A View to a Kill as well, as the villain woman who ended up saving everyone and sacrificing herself for the whole of San Francisco and all that. Spoilers. Spoiler alert. Although I've told you now, so tough. And you're going to say, well, if you haven't seen it by now, then, well, the spoilers. Well, I haven't seen E.T. I haven't seen any of the Transformer movies. I haven't seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies. I haven't seen any Harry Potter movies, so there's lots of spoilers out there for me as well. But anyway, this here, it's reported in Australia, but if you notice at the top it says Birmingham, United Kingdom. Basically, this was a nightclub where they had some of them, someone's birthday, and they had them, you know, them candles that fire sparks out. It's a bit like your toy robot when you were little that fired them out of its tummy. These sparks flew out, and they actually set a display of leafy things on fire in the nightclub, causing mass hysteria. Although the fire was put out within a minute of it starting and didn't cause much damage. But I can imagine the big questions asked as to how a decoration in a nightclub caught fire so quickly. As I was saying before, it's not just Britain. With inflation stubbornly high at just under 8%, it is unlikely the RBA will break from its trend of raising the cash rate. Cash rate is interest rate. 8% inflation is high in Australia. You've got to remember, we're closer to the action that's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Therefore, the fuel prices have affected us more than Australia. But 8% without that, yeah, shocking. And I say it's not just here, and it doesn't matter whether you're a Conservative government, a Labour government, Liberal Democrats, Republicans, everywhere screwed at the moment. A waterbombing aircraft has crashed in Western Australia with the 2 pilots not only surviving but walking away virtually unscathed. The Boeing 737, not a MAX, was being used to fight a major bushfire that continues to burn. Ironically, I can say this because they survived, no one was hurt, they actually added to the fire by crashing their plane. Wrong idea, guys. The father of a toddler who was killed after he was forgotten inside a hot car on a scorching Sydney summer's day has spoken out on the hopes of preventing similar deaths. He was not charged with anything. He left his toddler in a car on one of the hottest days that they've had in Sydney, and we know it's hot in Sydney. The kid died from heat exhaustion, and the father was not charged with anything, not even neglect, manslaughter, whatever. Just released. Oh, never mind, mate, have another one. It's unbelievable. Fuming. Australia's most trusted brands revealed. Do you know these brands? Do you trust these brands even? Roy Morgan has released its quarterly list of Australia's most trusted brands, with major retailers, tech giants and car manufacturers making the top 10. You will not believe what the first one is. Number 1 is Woolworths. Not even joking. Woolworths. Same name, completely different company. Still trading in Australia. I know it's trading in America as well, but it's definitely trading in Australia. And instead of the gold writing on a red background, they have a green, well, you can see the symbol there at the bottom actually, a green logo and everything. Coles, which is a bit like Tesco. Bunnings, a bit like Tesco. Aldi, okay. Kmart, which is very much like Walmart. Myer, no idea. Apple, phone people. Big W, we had Big W's here. There was one in Bolton, near, well, where Burden Park was. I think it's a big Asda now, but it was a Big W for a while. Australia Post, which I assume is a newspaper, and Toyota. Toyota is the most trusted car in Australia, mate. What's that about? What's that about? What's that about? I have no idea. Investigators have found strong indications that Russian President Vladimir Putin approved the supply of heavy anti-aircraft weapons to Ukrainian separatists who shot down flight MH17 in 2014 with a Russian missile. So if you remember, before we knew where Ukraine was, an aircraft, a passenger aircraft, was shot down, and there was a lot of kerfuffle whether it was Russia who shot it down, whether it was Ukrainians who shot it down, thinking it was a Russian airplane. There was rumours that they might have thought it was Vladimir Putin flying over because of the markings of the aeroplane were a little bit similar to Vladimir Putin's jets, and all that kind of thing. And it kind of petered out after a while, like these things do. But they've looked into it, and they're now saying there's strong indications that Putin deliberately supplied the weapons to bring down that aircraft, which is a war crime. Pick and mix, yep, definitely pick and mix. A whole family was pulled out of the rubble of collapsed building in Syria's... Oh, and this is Reuters, not Australian at all. Yeah, but a whole family... So a happy story to do with the disaster that's going on over there. Not Australian, though. Economists believe there is a growing chance Australia will fall into a recession, and the Reserve Bank's aggressive rate hikes are largely to blame. So yeah, this is what I was thinking about raising interest rates. You just make it more difficult for people to go out and spend money on things that they want to buy, or go to the pub, or go for a meal, or whatever, because they've got to pay the mortgage because it's gone up. And I never forget how it gets inflation down. It just kills the economy. So yeah, Australia are looking down the barrel of a recession, like the rest of the world. It's not just humans trying to cool off as Queensland's scorching summer temperatures soar. A cheeky Echinada has been spotted going for a paddle in a pool in the rural town of Muckadella in the Marona area. Even though they're known for being good swimmers, the spiky swimmer was scooped up with a net to safety. So it's a little like marsupial thing, and it went for a swim to cool off because it's too hot. Have you a fear of the birds? You might not want to look at this. Look away. A huge number of crows overtook this Japanese street, leaving locals baffled as to why they had so many new noisy neighbours. And literally this video pans from where it is, and it goes left, and then it goes right, and every space has got birds on it. The floor, cars. As you can see there at the top, there's like a wire fence of a balcony thing where the grey is at the very top. They're on there. They're everywhere. It is like a scene out of the birds, but like on acid. It's redonkulous. New York City subway banned dogs unless they fit into a bag. Swipe for the results. The New York subway banned dogs from... This is in Australia, by the way. Banned dogs from travelling unless they fit inside a bag, which for large dog owners was a bit of a problem. But it didn't take long until they found a loophole. The loophole being, the rules only said the dog had to fit inside a bag, not the bag had to be small. So what did they do? They found bigger bags. And that dog there looks like it is an IKEA bag, isn't it? Is that an IKEA bag? I'm going to make this bigger. I want to see if that's an IKEA bag, because that looks like an IKEA bag to me. It looks rather fed up. Yeah, IKEA bag. They've just cut holes in it for its legs so it can walk. I mean, that is genius. You've got to admit that is genius. You've got the New York MTA coming up with this stupid rule, and what do? You just get a bigger bag. We're going to need a bigger bag, not a bigger bulk, a bigger bag. That's genius. Absolutely love that story. I think it's brilliant. I might as well we can dig that up and get more pictures of dogs in bags. Tarpaulin, yeah, if you have a German Shepherd or something like that. A Queensland woman who poured a steamy mixture of dog faeces and warm water on a car over a parking spot has been ordered to pay the owner compensation, and rightly so. Although I think that story's a bitch myself. And 7 News Australia retweeted, Victoria's health data has just been released. Minutes before a press conference with the health minister, it shows almost 25% of patients are not being treated within the recommended time frame. 10.2% of patients are waiting for more than a year for treatment. It's not just the UK that have got these problems. It's all over the world. Pardon me. And that's why I don't understand why people get so, oh, the government's rubbish, whatever. It's a worldwide thing. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to take all the doctors and nurses from everywhere? I don't understand it. Where are we? There we are. Flags. That's what I go for, and I want to go for that. So that's it for Australia. Oh no. Okay. So next up is India. Going to be brief here because I don't think there's many actually, to be fair. Bump. India. Bang bang. Well, there's a few, but I only read the headlines out on these. PM Monday to inaugurate India's largest helicopter production facility on Monday. It's a 615-acre site that is going to be only for making helicopters. Delhi gets 27 new electric vehicle charging stations. Yeah, in a city the size of Delhi, that's like me peeing on a forest fire in Florida. I mean, complete waste of time. Electric is not the way forward. I've said this many times. Green hydrogen is the way forward, not electricity. Stop ruining the planet with these batteries. Soil cracking, tree splitting as Arctic blast sweeps Canada. Canada and America have had a hell of a winter this year, really cold. Thousands of Danes protest cancelling a public holiday. They have a regular public holiday and it has been cancelled. These were the first people to report the earthquake in Turkey. Obviously no details at that point. Ranchi cops smash window, burning car to save a woman and children. Again, car fires. There seems to be a lot of them going on at the moment. Admittedly, we're looking all over the world, so there's probably not that many considering how many cars there are, but you know what I mean. And another shooting in the USA, 1 fatally shot, 4 injured in Colorado. That one actually even reported in the American press. E-rickshaw drivers protest by blocking Lucknow INI NH under ban under Uttar Pradesh. Yeah, not worried about that. E-rickshaw drivers protested against the administration's orders not to allow three-wheelers into the city by blocking the main highway, causing traffic snarls. Police had to resort to a lathe charge to clear the crowd. That's no doubt like what we do over here with the miners. Too soon, I know. Delhi's max temperature soars to 29 degrees, highest in first week of February since 2011. So Delhi's having a heat wave as well. It's not normally that hot at this time of year. Pakistan PM orders Wikipedia website unblocked after row over blasphemous content. Pakistan Prime Minister has ordered authorities to unblock Wikipedia days after the online encyclopedia was restricted for blasphemous content. Seems reasonable. Oldest white tigress in Delhi Zoo dies, which is sad, but it's an amazing beast. 30 killed, 15 injured in road accident in Pakistan's Khyber. A passenger bus and a car plunged into a deep ravine after colliding with each other. Horrendous, but road safety in that part of the world is not the best. 3 students injured after part of a school ceiling falls on them. You're like, what? US releases pictures of deflated spy balloon, which we've already seen. Dinosaur statues to be installed at Waste to Wonder Park in Seri Khan. A total of 15 dinosaur statues made from scrap waste will be installed at the Waste to Wonder Park as part of Phase 2. These will be movable and made out of 250 tonnes of scrap. So it sounds like they're going to be amazing, but I'm not sure what the point is. I'm sure there's a point though. If we are ready for China, US, UK, Australia carry out drills against Chinese fighter aircraft. The joint drills by the US, UK and Australian at the Black Sea training range were carried out days after the US fighter shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina. Poland to close Belarus border until further notice. Belarus is kind of supporting Putin and all that, so yeah, Poland have closed the border. Equatorial Guinea quarantines 200 after unknown hemorrhagic fever kills over 8. Equatorial Guinea has quarantined more than 200 people following the deaths of more than 8 people due to an unknown hemorrhagic fever, basically internal bleeding, lungs, liver, everything just bleeds and they don't know what it is. So that's one to keep an eye out for. A US shoots down high altitude object over Alaska, says it posed a reasonable threat. And that was it for India. I forgot where I went then. I forgot. Boris. Yeah. Which just leaves us with one section left. Move that across there actually because that didn't work too well, so we'll leave that there. Funnies. Stuff that's made me smile because it's been a bit of a crap week really for the weather, for news. So I thought I'd have a look at some stuff that's made me have a wry smile. So we got this one. Norfolk. This is crap local news. Norfolk police traffic cone found on tiny Dutch island. Well, Norfolk and Dutchland are not that far apart if you think about it, so that's hardly surprising. But it made the news, newspaper headlines. So what can you do? Oh, what am I doing? I'm in the wrong one. There we go. News, funnies. That one. Open. Okay. So this is Have I Got News For You? Liz Truss, she's back. I didn't even bother mentioning her to be fair. Releases a 400-word essay defending her premiership. No word yet from the lettuce. Hilarious. Crap local news. People were forced to wait almost half an hour while the driver had a rest. Passengers forced to stand in rain on train driver's break. People were forced to wait almost half an hour while the driver had a rest. Well, legally they're meant to, because if they fall asleep at the train, you could be dead. Now, this isn't news or anything, but this picture popped up on one of my things like this pop up on, and it's the English Heritage. And I'm like, I know the kids. I've been there. I know where that is. And I did a Let's Visit last year at Goodreach Castle. And that tank at the bottom, you can just see where there's a kid with a red top on, and there's one with a blue top on to the right of it. That's a tank, that's called Big Bertha, and climbing up them steps was terrifying. And I've been all around that buildings, I've been all around the grass and everything. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm seeing stuff now because I've done all these visits, and I know where I've been. It's weird. I know where they are even. Sainsbury customer falls to their knees over the price of frozen fish fingers. That's all we need to know. More detail would spoil it. Northamptonshire Bee Rescue. Follow our reporters Josh and Nish on a very special bee rescue. The bees will be removed using specialist equipment, a type of V vacuum. to keep them alive so they can be transferred to a safer place. Experts have been using scaffolding on the chimney to access the location where the bees were found by the homeowners. The vacuum has been attached to the top of the chimney. Once the experts are confident that they can catch the bees without harming them, they will switch the machine on. You're like, what the hell? Read the fine print on this coyote warning sign. So this is Redwood City. Warning: coyote activity. Coyotes are wild animals and can be dangerous. Do not encourage them to approach. They are smart, fast, and will take what they can get. All pets must be kept under direct control for your safety and the safety of the animals. Keep them at distance. Never feed coyotes. But then you can't read the small print until you zoom in on it. Call animal control if you say dangerous coyote activity, such as coyote carrying a box marked Acme, coyote detonating explosives TNT, coyote in possession of a giant magnet, coyote holding a sign such as detour or free birdseed, coyote in possession of a catapult, coyote dropping an anvil from a hot air balloon. Genius, absolute genius. I think they have a lot of orange cones over there because their colour's orange, but that is absolute genius. Obviously Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, but yeah. A water bombing aircraft, we've already done that one. I don't know how that's got in this one, but never mind. Crap news. A wheelie bin is used to warn motorists of a sinkhole in residential road. A wheelie bin has been used to warn residents of sinkhole in the middle of the road. And yep, you definitely see it there. This isn't crap news, but this is something that just made me laugh. Before turning the heat on, do you have socks on? Yes or no? Long sleeve shirt? Yes or no? Underwear or pants? Yes or no? Do you see your breath? No and yes. If you choose the left side, then you don't need to have the heat, and if you choose the right side, then you need to get dressed properly. Typical dad thing. And then sacrilege. Chris Jericho on greatest ever Fawlty Towers as show returns is confirmed. The reboot of Fawlty Towers is unlikely to be short of viewers, but wrestling under Chris Jericho will certainly be among them, having hailed the show one of the best ever. They are bringing back Fawlty Towers. They don't need to bring back Fawlty Towers. They'd have to tone it down. Don't mess with something that's not broken. Fawlty Towers is genius. Always has been, always will be. Do not bring it back and break it for everyone else. Hashtag just saying. Porno MP forced to quit after seen watching explicit video during debate. Serbian MP was caught on his camera watching on his phone watching the adult content on his phone while parliamentary colleagues were taking part in a furious debate about Kosovo. Time and a place. Actually, there isn't. It's not something I ever do, that, I'll be honest. Drug dealer promises to donate a month's profit to the Turkey-Syria earthquake victims. You're like, okay. Enliven the taste of 0% beers by simply adding a quadruple measure of vodka. Genius. Amendment to chip pan fire story. In the Advertiser of September 19th, we reported on page 3 that a chip pan fire broke out in September the 14th at Friar Grove, Buxton. We have been asked to point out that it was in fact a smouldering pan of noodles. Breaking news. It's genius. It's genius. Drunk woman steals a 45-foot ferry while shouting, "I'm Jack Sparrow." She drank Lambrini and ate poisonous nightshade before boarding the ferry and drifting up the river on the tide. And shopper left fuming at Sheffield store, gives her 2 old £1 coins in change. She's fuming. Breaking news. Take them to a bank, they'll give you new ones. Calm down, love. They won't do it for shops though, they'll only do it for customers. Last one, this is Metro News. School bans bag, so boy turns up carrying books in a microwave. Now the question is, why would school ban bags? Why are you supposed to bring your stuff in? And then why did he think of a microwave? I mean, it's not a bag, be fair. But, yeah. It's bonkers. Some people think he's bonkers. We just think he's free. Now we're living our life. There's nothing crazy about him. Bonkers. No. And that ends it for today, which is good timing. So a big shout out to Toff, who's just popped up, Deno, Kim, I know you've been there all along, Angela, Paul, Marty Hopkirk, Carly Holmes, someone else as well at the beginning, wasn't there? Snip popped in. Didn't pop in for long, but you know, popped in, and that's it for another week. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, interacting and listening, and all being well, I will see you again next